I was literally like, all right, I'm going to sleep on time. We're gonna be on schedule. And then I woke up at 12:30. I'm like, the fuck? Why did I wake up at 12:30?
This isn't how time works.
I was genuinely confused by my own awakening when I saw the clock, and I'm like, why is it 12:30? Was I just like in like a really comfortable like blanket cocoon and was like in stasis mode?
I did that last night where I passed out way earlier than I expected to. I passed out at like, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night.
You just have weird surprise sleep habits sometimes, right? Like it's just weird shit goes down.
Sometimes my body just goes like, and we're dead.
Sometimes I'm afraid that my character what? Sometimes I'm afraid that I'm just going to stay asleep forever.
Why are you afraid of that? Sounds great.
Or like it's just a weird sense that like the sleeping will just keep going, and the only thing that it's like when you hear about like ice forming or even like snowflakes forming.
Okay.
That idea where like situation or crystallization is a concept usually. It's like you need to have a nucleus.
All right.
And until that happens, you just have like a pool of water with chemical sludge or whatever that's just like of the composition that would form the thing, but until it's disrupted in some way, the crystallization doesn't occur. Okay. Like you need a dust particle to fall in. That becomes a nucleus, or you need to like physically disturb it, and then it'll start to lock into crystal forms, and then it just goes from there.
This is like a lot just to explain.
I feel like that's how waking up works sometimes, where if nothing disturbs me, I might just lay there. No. And like I live with multiple roommates, and somebody likes to do yard work in the backyard next to my window. So like there's a lot of reasons I wake up. Yeah. And so when it's time to wake up, it becomes easier to wake up, and like it's one of those things I might just do it. But in many cases, like I'm afraid that like I'll just sit there if nothing wakes me up, and I'll just go for like 14 hours or something. Yeah, because I can't explain why I was asleep so long today, but here we are, late, doing a shorter podcast probably because of that. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi. I've never... Oh. Jump cut for the sink. Yeah.
I've never had any trouble waking up. I always have trouble sleeping. Like, my body will be like, okay, it is now 4 a.m., you are rise and shine.
How do you even define having trouble waking up?
Well, trouble waking up is when, like, you hear an alarm go off and you're like, oh, I have to be awake now.
For me, the trouble of waking up would just be the idea of, like, if I just literally was not waking up because I was staying in consciousness forever. Yeah, I'm fine with if I'm awake, then I can just go now, generally. Yeah.
I mean, but for me, it's like I'll wake up before my alarm, like
but I'll pay the debt throughout the day.
Yeah,
that's I've got a really bad thing where now it's like somebody decided to start doing yard work nearby, and it's like sometimes they'll wake me up at 7 a.m, and I'm like, this is not how my schedule works. You can't just do this to me.
That's impressive. 7 a.m. is like the sun just rose.
Yeah,
and you're doing
yard. I'm glad you're motivated, but you're fucking me. Like, this is going to ruin my day.
That's like one of my neighbors does that, where when he's leaving for work at like I think it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
As he's leaving, he just honks his horn super loud to say goodbye to his wife, who's in the house. Like, and I'll see it through my window, and it's like, and I'm like,
piece of garbage.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you fucking...
It's really just my motivation that we're going back towards summer, so now I've got to deal with like waking up at when the sun wakes up now, as opposed to when it did before. And so it's fucking up my whole schedule because people are going to start waking up earlier for other reasons, and it's like, they're going to wake me up by incident. And if I went to sleep 3 hours ago, then that's just going to be a real bad day. Yeah. Or I'm going to have to really sit there for like half an hour or an hour, forcing myself to try to get back to sleep after being woken up while the sun's up, just so I can get back to like, I need my day to work. I can't have a whole bad day. We got to restart this one. You're sitting there like pulling the cord of the engine, trying to get it to go. Yeah. Anyway, this is our spoilercast on Infinity War.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we saw Infinity War. Yeah. Not together. Once. A lot of times we see the movie, then drive home and do this. Yeah. I saw the movie Friday. It's Tuesday. You saw it.
I don't know.
Day after Friday, probably.
Yeah, sure.
Saturday or Sunday, I think. It wasn't yesterday.
No, I think I saw it. I saw it Sunday, I want to say. Wait.
I think we have opposing reactions to this movie.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you said 4 out of 10.
I did give it a 4 out of 10. Yeah.
Whereas I was like, that was all right. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's probably above average for me for Marvel movies. Which I guess a 4 out of 10 might be above average for you too, actually.
Yeah.
But
I think Avengers I walked away with like a 1.
You were mad. That's I remember that because we went to a concert afterwards, and you were just going on and on about how you were so mad about them making the Hulk funny.
Yeah.
That was
he was just comedic relief. That was all he was. And it's infuriating.
Well, in this movie, he's not in the movie. So
that was what was more infuriating, was that it was like, for one, Hulk couldn't fight Thanos.
Can we talk about how that was the worst CG of the movie somehow?
Like him trying to get the Hulk out, and it wouldn't.
Not even the Hulk. It was just Bruce Banner being in the Hulkbuster.
Oh, and
every single time it looked wrong.
Yeah.
And it might just be this. Sometimes I can't tell if CG is bad or if it's just the sheer fantastical nature of what you're looking at is just irreconcilable. But having Mark Ruffalo's head just sitting out of a Hulkbuster in so many scenes looks wrong.
Yeah.
And like we've gotten used to the idea of seeing Iron Man and War Machine's heads in their suits separately.
Yeah.
In some cases, but they're human shaped machines. But like this is like it's like it's almost it feels like seeing Tychos or whatever from StarCraft, like the big space marine dude.
Oh yeah.
It's like seeing Tychus, I think.
Tychus.
It's like seeing Tychus, but it's all the 2012 CG armor, but then like Edward Norton's head sticking out of the top. Like it's so hard to accept in a way that like I don't think any other effect in the entire movie was as distracting as just seeing Mark Ruffalo's head sticking out of the Hulkbuster.
I think what's more upsetting to me is the only the CGI that was the best in that entire fucking movie was Thanos.
Yeah.
Who was like the most amazing CGI I've ever seen.
We were all ready to be like Josh Brolin as Thanos is going to be like the funniest looking thing ever. Everyone's comparing him to like Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers.
I was so ready for because when he first met him,
you kind of just forget, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of forget that he's even a CG man.
Not
because he looks totally.
He just looks regular.
He's just believable.
He looks just like The Rock is painted purple, and it's ridiculous. Like I don't know.
Only moments where he's not believable are the awkward moments where he touches Gamora ever.
Oh,
Whenever he's touching Gamora, I'm just thinking of like, what is both actresses that played Gamora? I'm like, what are they touching right now? Because it doesn't look like they're touching him necessarily. It looks like there's like a model they have to grab onto.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a green.
I mean, there's no person that's Thanos shaped. There might be a person wearing a giant Thanos arm for them to grab onto.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there's like a green suit. That's being worn, like a fat green suit, and someone's just like, "There's my arm," and it's like, Thanos, no.
I always wonder like how some of these CG characters work. Like
a lot of work,
or even like some of these characters. I also wonder how much CG some characters are or aren't. Like someone that distracts me when it's not distracting in the moment. It's just when I think about it now, I'm trying to think about what they are. I think of Vision.
Oh,
is Vision just a costume or is that CG? It's actually kind of hard to tell.
I want to say it's paint. I want to say it's face paint.
It could be paint. I don't know.
I think it's face paint.
It's getting harder to tell.
Yeah,
especially since like this movie was like surprisingly low on like putty people fighting.
Yeah,
or, like people fight and they look like they're made of elastic. And
I think they solved that problem by just having like the monsters be CGI.
Yeah, but like CG looks really bad when it's like. When it starts looking like Matrix Reloaded.
Oh,
the pipe fight, where it's like we're watching a video game character fight 100 Andersons. I mean, 100, not Anderson, because he's Anderson.
Yeah.
Mr.
Smiths.
Anderson, 100 Smiths. Watching Neo fight 100 Smiths with a pole as he just like starts spinning and flying. And he looks like a tiny video game man.
Well, and you can see you can see some of them as they're flying away, and they're clearly just like, oh yeah, it's cartoon.
Yeah.
Like.
But like it's I spent surprisingly little of this movie that has like 20 superheroes in it, thinking that they look like fake monsters or whatever. Like I very very rarely thought that the person on the screen was like a weird Play-Doh man.
Yeah,
in the way that I'm used to. Like I keep hearing people say that about even Black Panther. Is that supposedly in the climax? Well, it's just like it looks like two plastic people are like fighting each other.
Yeah, because Black Panther had a lot of fuck ups with their CGI.
Did they? Did you watch it?
No. I watched it.
We should try to recap. First of all, spoilers for if that somehow wasn't clear. Spoilers for Infinity War.
We haven't spoiled anything yet.
Not yet. We said that Gamora and Thanos touch, but if that's a spoiler, you're a lunatic because that's her character, is being Thanos' daughter.
Yeah.
It's like the whole setup, and this is the Thanos movie.
Do you honestly think that Thanos wouldn't
so
have...
obviously spoilers for Infinity War, also spoilers for every other Marvel movie, because we're just it's literally
kind of have to.
whenever we do these, it's just spoiler cast for the universe so far with the focus on the current movie, basically.
Yeah.
Because they're characters that span multiple movies. But neither of us saw Black Panther.
No.
Have you missed any other one?
Ant-Man.
You missed Ant-Man. Okay,
Which didn't matter because he wasn't in this movie.
I saw every single Marvel movie until Black Panther, which I just had fatigue, and I was like, I'll just catch it somewhere else.
I'll be honest, I just didn't fucking care. Black Panther is the most uninteresting character to me, and I just didn't.
I don't have anything against the Black Panther movie as an idea. I just was so burned out on going to so many like the blockbuster movies, the big ones. Like I keep missing a lot of them. Like I never saw the Jurassic World movie, and I keep missing a lot of the ones that everyone's going to see all collectively. I often manage to make it to like the Star Wars and Marvel ones, but even those are like I haven't seen any of the DC ones since Man of Steel.
I haven't seen. any.
We saw Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen
any since Wonder Woman.
I haven't seen Batman vs Superman or Justice League. Oh, and I don't know if I'll see any of the other ones either, because with Marvel, I'm already like, this is too many. I can't do another universe. Also, the one that's supposed to be worse, and based on what I've seen, is worse.
I'm not really interested in CGI mustaches or CGI lips.
His face is incredible. But like lo and behold, for me, it was actually like I forgot the movie was coming out.
What? Infinity War?
And then I just opened Twitter and people were just complaining about being spoiled already. I'm like, oh shit, it's out. I guess I could just see it before spoilers happen, because nothing is spoiled. All I was seeing was people complaining about spoilers, but no actual spoilers yet. I'm like, I guess I could just go there now and just watch it. And I just did. That was my whole thought process. And literally during the drive, I'm like, fuck, I haven't seen Black Panther. I hope that's not that important. He was introduced in the movie I saw, so like I know who he is.
It really wasn't important.
To this day, I still don't know if Black Panther's a prequel to Civil War or a sequel. Like I don't know if it's before or after.
Oh,
it came out after, but I don't know if it's like an origin story going back to reintroduce you to Black Panther, or if it's him after his father dies. Because maybe it's like his dad's already dead, and now he's gonna now it's his time to rule because his dad.
Oh, right, because he died in Civil War, so that's what it is.
So it's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
So it takes place in between.
Yeah, so, I don't know because I've never seen it.
Until now, I think every Marvel movie has happened in chronological order.
That's impressive.
That's stopping.
When?
Because Infinity War happened.
Yeah.
And they can't have anything else happen between Infinity Wars because so many characters are tied up in that.
Yeah.
But there's going to be an Ant-Man movie.
The
Ant-Man movie is a prequel.
Is it?
It takes place before Infinity War specifically. It's a sequel to Ant-Man.
Then
I don't know what the exact timing is. It probably just takes place in this nebulous margin between Civil War and Infinity War.
Okay. So like during the Spider-Man stuff?
Because it'd be really hard to
Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, basically. Like it'd be really hard to pay attention to any of the story happening in that movie if it was happening with the backdrop of Infinity War.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're like, look at my fun little sliding suit. Did you see that commercial?
Yes.
So you saw that. Okay. So
you mean the trailer?
Let's have a side thing about Ant-Man. I'm mad at them. I'm mad at them. You never watched it, so you don't know about this, I guess. But they specifically made a point in the first movie to set up a rule about how Ant-Man works, which is that when he changes size, they maintain the density. That's why a tiny microscopic Ant-Man can like punch a dude and he goes flying.
Yeah.
Like punch a normal sized dude, and that's like the comedy of that. Or tiny Ant-Man falls out of the tub and hits the tile, but it's an entire human body of mass being put onto a single floor tile, so it like breaks under his weight. Like that kind of stuff. But then by the end, they're doing crazy ass wacko shit like having an ant be like the size of like a fucking Great Dane. And then it's like, how is it not floating away from being lighter than air? And like a bunch of other things keep happening. Like just crazy size changes happen that just break the rule they set up earlier. And everyone's like, you're thinking too hard about the stupid superhero movie. I'm like, but they made the rule.
Yeah.
They could have just not made that rule and the mass wouldn't be a question in my head. But that trailer added to that because
I think they make a building giant, didn't they?
In that trailer, they have an entire building that they shrink down into being like a rolling suitcase.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how strong is that man? He's carrying a whole building. And it's like, I'm like, all they had to do was just not say that rule.
Yeah.
But because they said that rule forever, every climax of every Ant-Man movie and even the trailers. I'm like, but they said that that's not how it works.
Yeah, it was weird because there's like also a scene
I want to go back and delete that scene from the movie that just explains how Ant-Man's powers work, because then you could just accept it.
There's also a scene in that trailer where they're like driving the car and it's super tiny.
Yeah.
And there's bricks coming at them and they're like, watch out for the bricks. I'm like, why? If one car ran into like a fraction of a brick, even it would be destroyed.
Even in the trailer, they throw like a Hello Kitty Pez dispenser at them. But, like, it's going to be the weight of a normal Hello Kitty Pez dispenser just over the mass of a giant thing. So it's like, oh no, a tiny a balloon might slightly pung off me. But, like, the guy's like, oh my god, with his motorcycle and, like, swerving. I'm like, that thing can't hurt you, according to the rules from earlier. But then it would hurt him because the movie doesn't care about those rules.
Yeah, the rules don't exist.
And I'm like, delete that scene. It was one conversation. Just don't put it in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, they knew.
Well, I think
they had to know within its own movie that they were going to contradict that later, like an hour later. So why not just delete it? Anyway, this is the Infinity War spoiler cast.
Yeah. So, I want to point out...
our last spoiler cast was the last Marvel movie, right?
Yes, it was Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can continue exactly where we left off. That chipper ending where we had Fun Rockman and Valkyrie Lady and such other memorable characters.
You mean
that are all
the
in that
director?
cast. And then
as Rockman?
Was it the director?
Yeah.
No, I thought that was Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords, wasn't it? Was it the director?
I thought it was the director.
I don't think it was the director. I think it was I think that guy was played by. Wait, no, it wasn't Flight of the Conchords, but it was the same actor that the director used. I think in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, maybe that was it.
I think that was the line, because it was the director that did the vampire mockumentary.
Right.
Which I still need to see because it's supposed to be really entertaining, but I haven't.
So we left Midgard, which was just gone.
Yeah.
I guess it just blew the fuck up.
I mean, yeah, that was the end of the movie.
Because I guess a giant lava monster just destroyed it.
From Moana.
It's gone now. So they're still on their spaceship floating away, and I guess we don't give a shit about how Thanos just showed the fuck up there?
No, I think the ending of Ragnarok, either the ending of Ragnarok or the post-credit scene of Ragnarok shows Thanos like a big ship. Like, oh shit, what's that? And that was like the cliffhanger for for Infinity War. Somebody had to remind me of it, but once they mentioned that, I was like, oh, I think I remember that.
I try not to, like, it's hard to remember that stuff.
So immediately I have a gripe again about the Thor franchise.
Okay.
Which is that there's all these supporting characters, and I want to care about them, but the movies won't let me care about them because the movies won't care about them. So, like, first of all, the first Thor movie, it's Thor and the band of brothers or whatever the fuck they were called. Like, it's jolly mates and the one girl, Lady Sif. And you had this cast of colorful characters. There's red bearded guy, and there's the girl, and there's black dude, and, you know, there's the Asian dude, which is the only one Ragnarok remembered.
Yeah.
Like, you get to the
it's the only one that Ragnarok can rehire.
I think they were in the first two movies. And then I watched Agents...
Are they even in the second movie?
I don't remember. I genuinely can't tell you.
I don't think they're in the second movie, because the second movie
I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Lady Sif shows up in that. In the first season. Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, we're going to have crossover with the Avengers universe, but it would always only be the most embarrassing crossovers, because it's always like the 12th most important character in the latest Marvel movie would show up.
Well, you're not going to get Chris fucking Evans to show up on a TV show.
Which, to be fair, the best crossover ever was... of course, how Civil War changed, not Civil War, Winter Soldier with Hydra showing up completely changes Agents of S.H.I.E.D., and you realize, oh, this was the plan all along. This is why the show is like slightly boring. Yeah. It's because it's just establishing a cast of characters for the Civil War. That's a bit for the Hydra reveal that's going to happen. That makes the whole show fun.
Yeah.
But like that cast of characters is his friends, and the movies just forget about him. But then in Ragnarok, out of nowhere, they're like, here's the Asian dude who's like having a last stand against Hell, but everyone else is just not there, seemingly.
Yeah.
Or they might have died as like an aside. I think there might be like cutaway scenes where like various members of the Band of Brothers just die without even like a line.
I don't remember that.
You don't even know that they were there. Like, you'd have to like double check to even tell, like, is that the same actor? To even tell if that was the character that the movie previously seemed to want you to care about.
Yeah.
And it happened again. Because now Thanos wipes out this ship, and you'd be forgiven if you didn't think that the only 3 people on the entire ship that we should care about are Thor, Loki, and Heimdall.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Rock Guy over there from previous movie that
I think Rock Guy's just dead.
Yeah, and I didn't see the Valkyrie we were supposed to care about. That
I
was
think
like
she's also
like,
dead.
She in particular was like a lead role in the previous movie.
Yeah.
Rock Guy was like a joke character that showed up a bit, but she was like a lead character. That she's a poster character.
Yes.
And this movie takes place like minutes after the previous one, and they just vanish.
I think her corpse is probably laying there on the ground when it does the like Star Wars thing where it's panning through the hallways and there's just bodies.
It's frustrating because this movie in particular ends with like, oh my god, that character and that character and that character. Like, oh, look at all this stuff's happening to all these characters. Even Falcon. Oh shit, Falcon. And like, I care more about the Valkyrie than Falcon.
Yeah.
What happened to the Valkyrie? We spent a whole movie with the Valkyrie. Where the fuck did she go?
Honestly, I'll be genuine with you. I'm okay with it. I kind of hate all of the characters in Thor. They're really garbage.
But the continuity acknowledgement is weird.
No, I agree. It's stupid that they just like kind of throw characters away. I argued about it too when we watched Thor. Where I was like, where the fuck are his friends?
Yeah,
they're supposed to be there like through the whole series.
It's like, did they film a death scene for the Valkyrie and then just didn't make it into the final cut or something? Or did they literally not bring her back for the movie?
They probably just didn't bring her back. They probably didn't think you'd give a shit.
The continuity between this movie and the previous one was so weirdly weak that I can only wonder if like the two movies were being made in parallel and there was just details of Ragnarok that just weren't known when they were making this. Because they also practically retcon his eye.
Yeah, they do
like,
retcon the eye.
It's almost like I can imagine they were basically had pretty much made Infinity War, and then they're like, oh shit, they took out his eye at the end of the last movie. We'll do some reshoots real quick where he doesn't have an eye for a bit at the beginning.
No, I bet you what happened was that they didn't film any of the Thor scenes until last.
I bet they filmed everything, and I bet that the beginning of this movie was filmed last specifically.
Yeah.
I think specifically the Asgardian ship was filmed last.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's
I think
why
that
it suddenly has all these details from Ragnarok that aren't showing up in the rest of the movie. And immediately they're like, get rid of that eye patch. You got a fake eye now. It's great. Oh, you should have washed that first. Like all that. Like it's fun dialogue that like they don't just like hand wave it away. But once you see that entire character's vanished, him getting his eye back, you're like, they just filmed him with two eyes throughout the movie, and then but then we have to acknowledge him losing an eye because that's more glaring than two characters vanishing.
Yeah,
it's a weird detail.
Yeah, so like the first thing that happens is just like the Hulk punches Thanos. I guess
and it doesn't punch him good enough.
It doesn't do anything to him.
Yeah, I guess
which
not.
Is impressive. I mean, in case you didn't remember, like Thor and Hulk fought, and it was literally like Hulk like punched the hammer and it created like an explosion in the middle of but no, Thanos just was like took it like a man.
Yeah, and that's before the Infinity Stones.
Well, he had one.
Yeah, which one was it? Is it the Triforce of Power?
No, I think it was a reality.
It was not reality.
Or no, yeah, I think it was reality.
No, he got reality when they kidnapped Gamora. That was the new one.
No, that was Soul.
No, that's the one he got from killing Gamora.
Oh, okay.
When they kidnapped Gamora, they were getting reality from Benicio del Toro.
Oh, yeah, I think he had the
Benicio del Toro, that memorable character from the first Guardians movie, ending stinger. Basically, it was. I did enjoy the line like, "What kind of idiot gave that guy?" What kind of idiot gave that guy an Infinity Stone? Because it was him who did that.
Yeah,
Star-Lord, like not even realizing that he did it, even in that moment.
Yeah, yeah, because it's What I don't remember what the first Infinity Stone he had.
I think most audiences won't even know what they all are.
I think it was teleportation.
Like people will realize there's a reality one, and people will realize that there's a time one. Those are the two that come up in the story.
He had the teleportation one,
but there's like. Four more? Because there 6 Infinity Stones?
No. Yes. Because there's one for every finger and the center.
There's all 5 knuckles. Then there's the center one, which is
Visions.
I was literally watching.
No, it's not Visions.
I was literally watching the movie. I'm like, I don't know how many Infinity. I was like,
yeah, that's.
We were
Visions.
like 75% of the way through the movie. I'm like, I actually don't know how many Infinity Stones there are in this MacGuffin movie. Yeah. I was like, there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's 6.
I don't know what they all do.
Because Visions is the one that goes in the center, and then it's life. Yeah. It's life. Or time, life.
We were surprisingly low on explanations for the decade of setup movies to what these stones even do.
Yeah, what is it? Time, life, reality, Tesseract? I don't remember what
Tesseract.
I don't remember what that one is.
How many Infinity Stones?
And then there's
I think the Tesseract was the Stone of Space.
Yes. I think that's the one he has.
You gotta be careful. That might fuck with the connection of the microphone.
Yeah, get off, cat.
Yeah, hang on. I'm trying to think how many Infinity Stones were set up by the Marvel movies so far. Because
all of them.
Because there's the one that gets off camera was the one.
Except for that one.
That's the one. That's the one that's not in any of them, and also the Soul one isn't set up. So that's two that are we just hear about this movie. Is Soul and the first one. But we have Tesseract, we have Benicio del Toro, we have Vision,
because we
have Doctor Strange. So those are the four
we know about. Yeah, we knew about Doctor Strange. We knew about Vision. The
Collector, I think he's called.
Yeah,
Benicio
the Collector.
Del Toro. Yeah, I just know the actor.
I was actually surprised.
He looks wacky.
Yeah, he looks like.
Hey, dude, we're gonna have to get you back in that. You know that makeup you used for like one day of shooting, like 5 years ago. We're gonna have to get you back on that for another even shorter day of shooting.
Yeah,
not really a character that amounted to much, was he?
No,
he
looks like a character out of Hunger Games.
Yes, he does, and we've walked into his lab twice, both times to see it explode.
Fair point.
Because they like hit the Infinity Stone or something in Guardians.
Yeah.
Or something happened that made it blow up in that scene. And they're like, we gotta get out of here because not Thanos is here. And because it's not Thanos, the other weird colored space guy that lands in ships and wants your shit and is gonna attack you. He was after the Infinity Stone, right?
Yeah, he was after the Infinity Stone. Everyone's after the Infinity Stones. But no one talks about the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, so let's get to back to the first scene. Like it really, one thing is it retroactively makes Ragnarok a little worse.
Yeah,
and it's for the reason that was already had problems. Like I think we both came away from Ragnarok relatively positive for a lot of it.
I didn't hate Ragnarok.
But an issue we both had was like the comedy that undercuts scenes constantly.
Yes,
especially like you don't undercut the actual literal Ragnarok happening with like a joke, but they did. Like a cutaway joke from Rockman is is like ruining the actual Ragnarok that's happening.
Yeah,
this fable that has last millennia in reality of the Ragnarok.
Well, I mean, Rockman ruined like a bunch of scenes.
Yeah,
because that's what his character was just to be an out of touch.
But like the jolly hopefulness and dumb jokiness of like, who cares about the home being gone? It's all fine. Is really undercut by now half of them are murdered one by one.
No, all of them.
Right. That's kind of a point of confusion in its own way.
Literally every Asgardian is dead.
Like that's a weird frustration is that they're supposedly killing half of them, like during the actual murdering scenes that are happening.
Yeah,
because they're doing what they do all the time. But then they blow the ship up, and I'm like, wait, that's not how Thanos. What do you? That's not what Thanos does. But he did, and I'm like, and they didn't acknowledge. I don't think he said, well, now I'm blowing it up because Loki tried to stab me. Like there was no like moment of like, well, now you crossed the line, now you're fucked. Like that didn't happen. And also every society probably does what Loki did. So, and he keeps letting half of them live. So like I don't even know what the in-universe explanation is for why he blew up the ship, which didn't even kill the one person he was trying to kill.
Yeah, right.
Because Thor's fine apparently.
Well, Thor can fly through space. What the fuck do you want?
So like why blow up all the Asgardians?
Because there's no reason. Because the Asgardians are dead. There's no have to have. That's the thing.
No, if there's two people, then there's a half.
No, the point I'm saying is that they all fought against him. So there's no half.
That always happens.
There's no half to save because there's no half that's like just that just needs protection. Another half is fighting. Every Asgardian was fighting Thanos.
It was too late though. No, that contradicts what they were saying though, because everyone's laying on the ground unconscious and shit, and they're like, half of you will know this great honor, and blah, blah, blah. Like he was giving the whole speech he gives normally. That one like seer dude or whatever.
Yeah,
the one guy with the needles. He was doing the speech that he does in the flashback later with Gamora and everything, and they're going around stabbing some of them. So it's like. In the background, that's the half people living thing being set up there.
Huh.
But then they blow the ship up, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't understand. Like, he keeps letting people live except for when they don't, and I can't. I was confused.
I mean, Thanos.
Also, there's a lot of children in this movie that has mass shootings in it, like public executions.
Oh, yeah.
Like I saw so many children in the theater, and then there's that scene where they divide the population of an entire city.
Oh, Gamora's town?
And then they just shoot everyone on one side. And I'm like, that's a public execution. That's like some dark-ass real-life shit.
Yeah, but you don't see it, so it doesn't matter.
But you do see it.
Well, you see the end result of it. but you don't see it happen.
It's not even entirely that. You literally see people firing into a crowd. It's just in the background. It's like a little blurry.
Yeah.
But like it's literally a mass execution.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then you see hundreds of bodies. I mean, and I'm like, people take their children to these movies. Holy shit.
Well, are you going to really deny the fact that in Age of Ultron they lift a fucking city up in the air and then drop it? Like those people are dead.
Well, they
even said in the thing like billions of millions of people died. Like children watched millions of people just die.
That's the thing is I'm so used to the implied deaths in these movies that I wasn't ready to
experience in like actual death.
Like me as an adult watching a movie, I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. Like that's the story of the movie. But just thinking about especially since I saw reviews afterwards, like I was watching. I got a really big kick out of like somebody like two of the people on the What the Flick review panel took their child to see the movie.
Oh,
and I think in both cases like the child reacted strongly to like the ending, but like was unfazed by the mass execution that happens in the middle of the movie. And I'm like, that's not the part that you freaked out. Like,
well, no, because they don't.
Like there was a little commentary moment where the reviewers are like, oh man, there was that one part where I kind of regretted bringing my kid, and then and I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, right? And then like, yeah, the part where the superheroes dissolve. I'm like, wait, no, that's the part. The mass execution is the part where you should be worried about your 8-year-old being in the theater.
That's the thing.
They shot hundreds of people.
Okay, well, that's the thing. I think you're overthinking it because that's the beautiful part about children. Is
they're like, it's lasers. It doesn't matter. That makes it fake video game.
And children are just incredibly stupid. They have no concept of what's going on. In their heads, they're just like, well, those were bad guys. They get pew-pewed. And it's like, they don't think about it.
People will misinterpret this as my attempted censorship or something. But I don't give a fuck. I'm just thinking about like it's like when I talk about nudity on YouTube, where I'm like, where's the bar? I can't figure out where the bar is for people because I keep hearing about some sort of line somewhere.
It's not that you don't want nudity.
Make sense of where the line
it's just you need to be very clear about where that line is, and then you ask like, is this PG-13? Because there's literally genocide.
So just like just how YouTube can't figure out where the bar is for nudity, I can't tell where parents react to violence because like video games are corrupting our youth, but also let's make a mass execution movie the biggest opening in the history of movies and take all of our kids there.
Yeah,
and no one's gonna. And I haven't heard a single person comment.
I have not seen a single article about
it. I've never heard anyone talk about how like the Rwandan genocide happened in the background of this funny superhero movie, and like no one's saying shit about it. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So okay, we keep getting distracted. So
that's what we do.
Yes, but
because the alternative,
we haven't even got past the first Infinity Stone.
Well, that's also par for the course. To be fair, the setup is the most interesting part of every movie to talk about. Yeah, just like how talking about the the island part was what we talked about for like the entire review of Wonder Woman.
Well, yeah,
because that was the most interesting part to talk about.
Yeah.
So everyone on Asgard ship dies, including Loki. Probably finally. Heimdall's definitely dead because he's never come back. I was bummed out by it because I thought Heimdall was rad as shit. And I was bummed out by that.
Yeah.
Like, his role in the last movie was like, oh, fucking Heimdall's almost a bigger hero than Thor ever was. Look at him being a badass.
Yeah.
He's been continually the most heroic Asgardian character. And he's like, oh, all right, there he goes.
See
you later. Hope you we'll see if you ever become 007 or not.
Did they establish in the third Thor movie if he could just summon Bifrost?
If he could just Bifrost whenever he wants to?
Yeah, I thought that was the whole point of the building they had, was so that you can do the Bifrost thing. I thought that was...
I think the building is supposed to help him do it on more of like an industrial level, but I think it's his sword that does it.
That seems really dangerous.
I think it was more of a desperate, difficult thing that he does before he dies, as opposed to like a thing that's easy to do all the time necessarily.
Okay.
But it is kind of a Doctor Who moment of like when Matt Smith starts teleporting instantly through time and space, and you're like, why do you have a TARDIS? And they never bring it up in any other episode.
Yeah, it was one of those things.
It's like instant teleportation, very bad for you, nasty. It's like, and then he does it like 7 times, and then they never bring it up again.
Well, he is a Time Lord, so by proxy, I guess he just
shows up with a mop.
He can just travel through time.
Weird episode.
But the idea is like, he just kind of Bifrosts the Hulk away.
But only the Hulk.
But only the Hulk. A little weird. Which is also really,
I'm like, why did he teleport everyone away?
Like, I don't know why Thor didn't just run over to Mark Ruffalo and just be like, Bifrost us out. And he's just like, goodbye.
It gives you kind of a moment where you wonder what the value system is. There's a few seasons... like in this, I don't know why I said seasons. There's a few scenes in this movie that kind of make me question character motivations a little bit, but like I will say, by and large, I think they did a shockingly good job at managing how many characters they had to deal with. Part of which was by having a lot of the characters just not matter. Like, War Machine has this one scene that's the obligatory follow up on what happened to him in Civil War, basically.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he's just as important as Falcon in this movie, which is that he's in a couple scenes during the fights.
He's there to fight,
which is like about as important as like that one lady that I assume is like Black Panther's like right hand person or something, probably. Because I didn't see the movie, but like she's just as important as Black Widow. Like they just show up a couple times.
I want to point out that Wakanda is like shit. It's like such a shit place.
Why is it shit?
They're just kind of like,
you need to have like descriptors.
They're kind of just dickholes.
I think that's the plot of Black Panther.
Is it?
I think so.
Because like the one bitch was like, "Oh, you fucked up on building Vision." I was like, "Oh yeah, because you were totally fucking there."
Oh yeah.
Like I don't see you have a fucking self-aware AI with an Infinity Stone in it. Oh right, because you don't.
That's more of a comedy scene in that the point is that like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner are like the science expert, mega smart people. And I think the entire point of that character in Black Panther is to constantly be like, the joke is she's way too smart for being just some little girl.
That's the thing. In
this case, they're like, she's thought of something that even the super geniuses didn't think of.
That's what upsets me, is that she's incredibly stupid, comparatively.
To what?
Compared to Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk. Bruce Banner? Bruce Banner is smarter than her. By character sheets.
Are we talking like comic book?
Yeah, comic book lore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we don't have reason to think that in the movies necessarily.
I mean, Mr. Fantastic is literally the most intelligent man in the Marvel universe.
He doesn't exist.
And he doesn't exist. And like, if he was in that scene and she was like, "You fucked up the connectors," he would like bitch slap her and be like, "Why are you talking about connectors? That's a fucking plebeian thing. Get out of here." And like, it would have been.
I wouldn't even really be surprised if Mr. Fantastic slapped children, because he seems like not a great person.
I mean, he brings children with him to space. Is
Mr. Fantastic like just as bad as Batman or something with children?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, but the idea is like, I don't know, I got kind of like annoyed that everybody in Wakanda was kind of just like really like, "Oh, we'll take care of this. Oh, the shield can do." It's like they're so confident about shit. I'm like, Thanos, literally from space.
Until it super didn't work.
But it's like, it's also this thing of like, hey, I don't remember the last time the Wakandans went to space. Oh, wait, they didn't, because they're not smart enough. Oh, no.
Did they not go to space?
No, they've never been to space. You know who's been to space? Tony Stark.
Is this all comic stuff again?
Both, yeah.
I'm like, I don't think there's even I don't think there even can be set up for this stuff.
Well, no, I mean, the idea, because for one, the thing that they even built their civilization around is a space rock, which, that's it? They just got lucky that a rock fell in Africa and not, like, New York? Like, that's the only thing that made them impressive, is like, we found a space rock and it's really fucking fancy. And that's like it. But
they can't all fall in New York. It starts to get weird at some point. Like, there's like
it?
At some point, there's like a reality generator in New York that makes everything happen in it.
Yeah.
Like, it starts to get weird.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
The Illuminati reality generator that's in the New York sewer is guarded by crocodiles.
No, I mean, like,
and Killer Croc, who's real.
There's like that's in DC, thankfully.
No, I'm just saying real life. Like, that's just always there.
He's just always there?
Yeah, there's the Illuminati Killer Croc reality generator that's under New York that makes it the center of reality.
But also, like,
it's like the flag and capture the flag.
They have this, like, impressive whatever setup. But these fucking assholes don't have, like, an anti-teleportation field. Like, Thanos Thanos literally just walks up and he's like, "Oh, hey there, Vision." And it's like, could you not? Like,
how would you make an anti-teleportation field?
I don't know. They're the fucking ones who are talking about building sentient machines incorrectly. I guess you guys know everything, right? Then don't be a condescending asshole. I don't like that idea that they're like being. I don't like these characters that act self-important. Like, oh, I'm so incredibly intelligent, and then a being that is clearly more advanced than them shows up, and it's like, well, we just didn't account for it. Because you're not smart, you fucking asshole. Shut up. Like, no one...
Isn't that just their character, though?
That they're assholes? Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
I think that's literally... Like, neither of us have seen it, but I think that's literally the plot of
Black Panther. That they're all just assholes?
Kind of. Is that Wakanda is like these superior, smug people in the middle of, like, a troubled continent. And, like, I think the villain, Killmonger, is supposed to specifically be about that problem.
Oh, really?
Like, that's the premise of the movie.
Maybe watching the movie would have helped me hate them more.
But going back to before, I'm just talking about like there's character motivation moments that I question, or I'm trying to figure out why people do exactly what they do. One of them, and a few of them involve teleporting in particular. I'm just going to close the door because there's so many animal noises happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like what is it? Heimdall specifically teleports, specifically Bruce Banner?
Well, Thor said so.
Thor said to teleport
Yes.
the Hulk?
Yes.
Why?
Because he can't breathe in space.
Just to save him from space?
Yes.
So he can't AoE teleport people.
Well, I also think he was doing it as a, like, send him down so he can warn the Avengers, as in...
But even then, there's the question of, like, is Hulk even important?
What? Yes.
Like, I know you have this giant Hulk boner about how great he is as a character. I'm just saying, like, in the context of this story... Is the Hulk specifically like a treasure that has to be protected for the sake of the reality to happen? Like,
yes,
he doesn't. As far as I can tell, he serves no role or purpose of any kind.
Literally the strongest Avenger,
but which is not even actually clearly established in the movies.
Kinda, he beats the shit out of Thor.
He beats the shit out of some people, but he also always loses, like exclusively loses.
No, he has plot armor, so like he loses when he needs to. And also, just
being particularly strong doesn't even necessarily mean that you're like the super dude that's going to do awesome things and actually be integral to the plot. It just means you might do a good punch.
He's invulnerable.
That doesn't matter. Having the best superpower doesn't necessarily mean that you're important to the story.
Well, yeah, when you're being invaded by aliens.
I can't tell how important Hulk is, and especially in this movie, he doesn't really do anything.
Well, I think the reason more specifically they sent him down because it's Bruce Banner is the one they wanted to save, is because Bruce Banner is technically one of the most intelligent men on the planet. So
here I'm thinking, like, what is Heimdall's priority? Is it literally just to warn the Avengers? Or is it to save Thor, which you think he'd want to just save Thor from being murdered? Or the other thing is if he's doing on a galactic priority scale, you think he'd be like, I want to save the Infinity Stone, which would mean teleporting Loki.
No, because
all those options, out of what I feel like are two better options to teleport, he teleports Hulk.
Well, one he does
weird stranger on his ship that he doesn't know.
Well, remember
I met like 5 minutes ago in the previous movie.
He teleports Hulk before Loki reveals he has the stone.
That's no.
Everyone
always knows that the Tesseract is with Loki.
No, I meant to like Thanos.
Oh wait, where was the Tesseract was in the vault until Loki took it, right?
Yeah.
Did everyone know he had it? No one
knew Loki took it. They thought the Tesseract just blew up.
Did everyone think the Tesseract was on Asgard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why Thor was like, why?
Did he teleport Hulk? Did he teleport Hulk before the Tesseract scene?
Because Thanos knocked him out.
Yeah.
And then he...
Boy, that would have been important. Do you think he would have teleported Loki if he knew that?
No, I think he would have just teleported the Tesseract.
It's a dangerous thing to just put on the floor somewhere.
Well, I think he would have sent it to Earth. He would have just been like, and to the Avenger HQ. And there's like a giant block.
It definitely feels like a mistake was made around the time you realize, oh shit, we have a teleport power and we didn't use it on the Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
And to get away from the guy that can't teleport after it.
Yeah, he can.
He can't teleport at that
That's
point,
his only ability.
That's the one stone he has?
Yeah. That's how he... I think that's his only ability.
When does he teleport for the first time in this movie?
I thought he teleported onto that ship.
No. They boarded with their giant ship of people.
Then is it the Tesseract that gave him the ability to teleport?
It might have been. Can Loki teleport?
Oh, it is the Tesseract, right? Because remember they use the Tesseract and it shoots into space and it opens a wormhole and then all the invaders come in?
Oh, and made a portal in the first place?
Yeah.
Is that what it did?
Well, it made a portal to Thanos,
It would be nice if the movie more explained what the stones even were most of the time.
It should have like a little thing on
they really skip straight to the final destination, which is that if I get all of them, snapping my fingers kills half of all people. Apparently.
By the way, on one day,
like instantaneously,
like he's committed
while they're driving and shit.
It's like his entire life.
Yeah,
and he just commits to it on one day, where he's like, okay, today I'm getting all the Infinity Stones. Finally,
the idea seems to be that he was planning on it all this time.
He was just waiting for every piece to line up.
He just needed once it's like there's a tipping point once you have an Infinity Stone. Like suddenly it's like now they're fucked because like you're way more powerful all of a sudden. Before then you kind of sucked. My problem with that.
Didn't he have the Infinity Stone in the end of the crawl for the first Avengers movie?
I don't think so.
I think so. I think I remember him. No, he just
because it's the first Avengers movies happened like 8 years ago or something, didn't it? In the universe. Because there's like 2 years between Civil War and Infinity War, and I think there was another 2 years between other stuff.
Well, yeah, it was
happening.
2012.
Like, it's been a long ass time, right?
Yeah,
it's like they're practically happening in real time, basically. And like the way they set it up in this movie, it sounds like he just got his first Infinity Stone, and that's why this is all like now it's the tipping point, and now it's just all the plans coming together. My problem is I'm sitting here like, didn't Gamora and Nebula know his plan?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to tell.
Well, he also specifically told them to go get Infinity Stones multiple times.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I had to be clear about that because...
That was like Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Like, there's always it's like D&D. There's like character knowledge versus player knowledge. There's the question of like, we know that this is all going up to Infinity War and he's after the Infinity Stones because it's literally been like 10 years of stingers about like, wow, what's Thanos going to do one day when he shows up in a movie finally? Because that's been just nonstop. Like, we never knew why it mattered for the longest time.
Well, we knew the moment it happened because that's the only thing Thanos does.
I just mean like if you only watch the movies and you don't have anything else, you're like, why do they keep showing me this purple asshole? Like, it's like, it starts to get weird at some point.
Yeah.
And just the idea, like, so he's been brooding and planning this thing forever.
His lifetime.
And Gamora and Nebula know that.
Yes.
And Gamora in particular is just like going on fun space adventures for like years.
Well, remember in Guardians 1,
like, at least Nebula, they say Nebula recently tried to kill Thanos and nearly succeeded. I'm like, all right, GG Nebula, that's what everyone should have been doing that knew his plan.
Technically, everyone should have been doing it.
Like, it's
not just people who knew his plan. Like, I think,
but Gamora knows like everything about him. So I'm like, I'm actually really frustrated with Gamora in this movie, finding out that she's been like going out doing space pirating and having fun and shit.
She also knew the location of one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
She just does.
Yeah.
I don't know when she found it, and I don't know how she decided that.
And I had a lot of moments of like, I can't figure out Gamora's dedication to suicide or not. Because she wants somebody else to shoot her if she gets captured because she knows about the Infinity Stone. But then even then, when they're going there, like, there's so many moments where she could have almost killed herself and just keeps not doing it, all the way down to the reveal where it's like I guess it's just part of the thing where like they wanted to make this Infinity Stone not just him winning, but literally other people failing specifically. Yeah. It's like Gamora has a specific moment of failure, and Star-Lord has a specific moment of failure. Even Thor has a moment of failure in that he literally aims at the wrong spot in the last scene of the movie. Like, so many people make mistakes that enable this to happen every step of the way. Yeah. Instead of it just being him winning because he's impossible to stop or something. But it's they almost beat him like 3 times, or but like somebody fucks it up. Or they had the option to destroy an Infinity Stone throughout the entire movie, but they held off on it because they desperately wanted to keep that person alive. Well, no. One person wanted to keep that fucking guy alive. No, they all wanted to keep him alive because they're superheroes. Except for the guy with the Infinity Stone in his head, who was like, please kill me, I swear to God. Like, he was sitting there the whole movie like, no, you have to stop. If he gets the Infinity Stone, we all die. I would rather be dead than the whole universe. And they're like, no, Vision, you're important. He's like, no, I'm a robot. Just kill me. It's definitely easy to think that if they killed him sooner and took care of the Infinity Stone, there'd almost be like an ability to like scatter it to the winds, the pieces of the Infinity Stone. It becomes Dragon Ball all of a sudden. Like Thanos doesn't go around and collect the pieces. Not even that. Just throw it and just fucking throw tiny particles of it just out into space. Like, not even at my landmarks. Just make it impossible to regather. Like, you could do a lot of work to make it really hard for the Time Stone to ever be able to rewind anything. I don't know how that works though, because technically Thanos has like the reality bending ability, so that's a point of frustration, is that the reality stone. No, the whole gauntlet is just a fucking problem. It's a clusterfuck of like, how do you even, it's like the ultimate Doctor Who episode of like, I don't even know how to explain the story of this or what can happen in it. I don't know like, how, once you have a reality stone, you literally can't even say with any certainty because they don't explain what it does in any real way. Yeah, what he can do. Well, he can turn anything. I'm surprised into anything? He can't just make all of the Infinity Stones on the spot when he has that one. I don't think he can do that. I think there is... We have no reason not to think he can do that. Because I don't think the Infinity Stones are part of reality. I think the Infinity Stones are outside. Instead, he makes 2 holodecks, and he makes 2 bubble tricks, and that's the extent of the Reality Stone for the most part. And, except for the time he teleports and heals himself at the end when it's over. But he only uses the time power just to fix the Infinity Stone? Yeah. To fix one of the stones? But like, he doesn't do it the moment Thor hits him with an axe, and he's like, well, time reverse, and then like, well, he kind of did. I think he might have used the Reality Stone to heal after I think he teleported himself while healing himself with the Reality Stone or something, but I don't know because I can't even tell you what all the stones do.
Okay,
it's kind of a clusterfuck.
There's
I know there's space and time. Those are the first ones I heard about.
Yeah, space.
And I think Tesseract is space because Strange has time, which is the most reinforced one, which they knew they had to do.
Yeah,
like that was like you know that they most reinforce what the meanings of specific stones are when they're the ones that are going to be used in scenes for a specific purpose.
Yeah,
so they tell you reality and time like 5 times.
Yeah,
because they're good, that you need to remember that those stones are those stones. Otherwise, several scenes are going to be really confusing.
I don't know what life does.
Apparently, kills half the population. If you want that to be what it does.
Well, no, but I mean like specifically what the life stone does.
Oh wait, because there's also a soul stone.
Yeah, the soul stone. I have no idea what that does.
It starts to sound like some of that stuff when you talk about like the elements that make up reality, and like it always sounds arbitrary. Like fire and earth and wind and water. And
you know what? I think that might give him that power to snap people away. I think that's what
the soul stone.
I think the soul. I think the soul stone is what does that. But I think it like. I don't think he can do it on the same scale. Like, I think he can just snap his finger and kill certain people on command, or like touch somebody and kill them. But I think when all the Infinity Stones are gathered, then he can just be like, and everyone in the universe is gone, because he combines it with every other stone. Because I'm assuming, like, to wipe out half of the universe, you have to, like...
He apparently needs all of them for reasons.
Well, because you would need time to go back to erase them from existence. You would need reality to alter the time stream so it doesn't affect... time because you just fucking remove
but
people.
He's not removing them from time though.
Technically,
he's not removing them from the past. He's moving them in that moment because but he's using cars they're driving are still there.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like
they existed until that moment.
I think the point of time is like to prevent like rifts, because if you just wipe out that many people in a second, I imagine there's some kind of
I'm convinced that like only one of the stones is relevant to actually deleting people, and all the other ones just somehow give him super mega power.
It could be true.
Like basically, once you have all of them, that's when you get.
One of them gives
when they have synergy mode, and you have mega power to reach all of the reality.
I mean, some of them like one makes them teleport.
Otherwise, you would think one just would be all you need for that specific about power.
I don't even know.
And it doesn't make sense that much because it was all poorly cobbled together by some comic book writer decades ago for similar half-assed reasons, because that's what events are in the Marvel universe, and the DC universe are like they're the worst stories.
Yeah, crossover events usually are just hey, let's boost sales real quick by making like everyone's favorite characters into one book.
Which is why I was ready to hate this movie, both because I thought it was going to be a clusterfuck of keeping track of all these characters, but also I know it's like the worst comic book stories. Yeah. And so I was shocked when I was like, this is fun. I was generally having an all right time in a way that I didn't think you could from this source material, because it's bad source material.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this might be the worst source material they've had for a Marvel movie so far.
I don't know about that.
Infinity War?
No.
What's worse than Infinity War?
Black Panther.
I was going to say, like, Dark World?
Ant-Man is also bad content.
Because Dark World's like, we got to fight the Dark Elves. They're not us. That's the motivation. I get so hard to tell you what the story of Dark World was.
Dark World was a precursor to preventing Ragnarok.
Oh man, I love the Thor trilogy. You know, Thor Ragnarok, and Infinity War. Anyway, Hulk gets banished.
Also super racist, by the way.
What?
I said also super racist.
What, the Dark Elves?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literal racism, but it's racism against a fantasy race.
No, I mean,
which
like,
is what
they're
all
not
of Thor's story is.
But they're not, like, actually dark elves.
First story is frost giants are evil, and second one is dark elves are evil.
Well, yeah, Odin's apparently.
And the third one is everyone that's not Asgardian is evil.
Yeah. No, like, the entire premise, though, of, because it's playing God of War, I've been doing research on Norse mythology to try to see how bad it is.
Oh, to find out the Dark Elves were just like black people or something?
Yeah.
And it was just like that kind of.
And the only reason people call them Dark Elves and White Elves is because Odin couldn't tell them apart. So he just labeled one Dark Elves and the other Light Elves, but the elves don't call themselves that.
Well, yeah.
They're just elves.
Which happens a lot in. That happens a lot in elf stuff in fiction, generally.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you have, like, wood elves, and you have, like, high elves, and then you have...
Yeah, like in Dragon Age, you have the high elves and the wood elves. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's what they call themselves, the wood elves. We like wood over here, not like them city folk. I'm like, they're elves.
They're elves.
They call them, like, they'd at least call themselves, like, Sylvan or something. Like,
I just thought
like a word that exists.
I don't know, I just thought that was, like, hilarious to me that Odin just... was racist.
Yes.
Like,
oh, dude, I recommend getting a copy. I'll find it for you, like the right one, so you can look at it. It's like it's the one I read in my Norse mythology class.
You had a Norse mythology?
I took Norse mythology when I was in college for like GE and stuff.
For GE,
along with that magic, witchcraft, and religion class. I found fun classes to make those GE requirements work. I found the best classes.
Okay,
but it's a short book. It's like only like 100 pages, but it's like all of the verbal stories that passed on for thousands of years about all the gods from Norse mythology, like, put down and stuff like that. I mean, there's also a Neil Gaiman adaptation of it, which is fun. But there's so much dumb shit.
Oh yeah, well, most of it's Odin. Odin's like the worst person imaginable.
There's a lot of Odin being bullshit. There's a lot of Loki being confusing.
Well, Loki
and just a lot of scenes that just like. All their stories, I can't tell what moral they're trying to tell half the time, or why they're doing what they're doing, or what the stories are supposed to be for.
Paranoia.
It sounds like somebody just wrote a campfire story when they were bored half the time.
Yes.
Like, do you know about Sleipnir?
Yeah.
Which somehow doesn't come up in the Thor movies, which is that Thor had a horse, and Loki was like, I'm a trickster and I do things for no reason.
And I'm going to fuck this horse.
Yeah, so he turns into a mare and gets fucked by Thor's horse and gives birth to an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir. And that's just a horse that exists now in their stories. And that's the end. Like, that's the whole story. It's like Loki didn't seem to have a master plan behind this.
Nope.
He just slept with Thor's horse as a mare to give birth to Spider-Horse. And I kind of want to see Marvel's Sleipnir, even if they skip retcon if they don't talk about the history of it or anything. Just because I'm like, I want to see that animated. How do you get eight legs on a horse and try to make that biology work? Does it get longer, or I
think the horse just walks like a spider.
Does he have 4 legs, but then at the knee they become double legs, like near the bottom? Like, what is this fantasy horse? How do you draw it in a way where, like, it's one thing to draw it in bullshit 2D where you can make anything work, because 2D, as shown by like Escher and shit, can just be full bullshit and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like, how do you do like 3D fully articulated muscles beneath the skin? Like, this biology works for animation.
I think
3D Sleipnir. I want to see that.
I think you split it at the shoulder blades.
Are the other 4 legs ghost legs?
Yes and no. I think what it is like, so you have your shoulder and then there's just another leg coming out of that
further
shoulder
out or something.
Yeah.
So instead of being a series of legs linearly, you think that they has like parallel legs.
No, I mean, like, it's linear like a
18-wheeler truck.
No,
where they have double wheels on each side.
Kind of, yeah. So like the idea is that when he clops, he goes down and then down again.
Yeah.
So he never stops. Like, you can. I think the idea is like you can never knock over the horse because the horse has so many legs. Just can't.
There's also the story where they're just like, more legs to be faster. Super horse has 8 legs. That's the whole thought process. There's also the one where Odin is like. Comes up to some farmer, is like, you trying to work for your food? Ooh, isn't that quaint? It's like, I've got a super scythe that do your job even better. It's like, oh, we want the super scythe, and he throws it in the air, and they all clamor for it, and it cuts all their throats somehow, and they all die. And I'm like, the fuck is this? Is this like a really weird, like 3,000 years ago parable about greed?
Yeah.
That they want the thing that makes their job life easier, and this guy's an asshole for no reason?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, Ragnarok is always just this idea that like the rainbow bridge, which is a literal physical rainbow bridge, will be broken and the frost trolls will invade Asgard, which I'm always like, that's a weird sequence. Well, you think they'd invade over the bridge? Why did they break the bridge specifically and then the invasion happens? Like I even then, like in the lore, I'm like, I don't understand what the rainbow bridge does.
I thought Ragnarok,
why breaking it makes it easier to invade.
Yeah.
Ragnarok was explicitly like, the frost giants will attack, the rainbow bridge will be destroyed, and Asgard will fall. It's like that's their end of the world scenario on their Yggdrasil world, which all of this is somehow on a world tree, which is hard to think about because that's Yggdrasil. It's really, even after you read the stories, it's really hard to figure out how this stuff works.
Frost trolls weren't following the bridge. I thought they just come from behind.
I don't know.
Because there's mountains.
I genuinely don't know.
And I think that's where
the back-to-back phrases are about the frost troll invasion and the shattering of the rainbow bridge. And it always kind of sounds like they break the bridge first, almost like it's a barrier. And I'm like, do they know what bridges are? They could use the bridge to invade. I don't know why they're breaking the bridge. And it's not really articulated where the bridge is or what it does. Like, in the Thor movie, you're at least like, okay, the Rainbow Bridge is this bridge that connects Asgard to the teleport building.
Yeah.
Which, even then, I'm like, why is there a giant bridge to this teleport building? But it's really just like, whatever. They wanted to put the Rainbow Bridge in because that's part of Asgard. So they just came up with a place to put it. Which at least they made a place to put it, and it looks like a crazy light show Rainbow Bridge, so kudos for coming up with that, what the fuck a Rainbow Bridge even is. But yeah, we kind of went on a tangent again, but that's fun. Yeah, I'll have to find you what the name of the one I was that I read, because that is full of just baffling stories.
Yeah, I read a couple of them, and I was just like, I don't even know how people tolerated Odin for so long. It's like he's literally a monster.
It's especially weird because you're used to like Christianity and Judaism and other stuff where like they're extensively more like moral tale based.
Yeah.
And you got to like older like religious stuff.
They're more about like, culling a society.
The older stuff is so much harder to even figure out like what role the story had in their society and why it was told so much. Like, is it just a funny story about the time that he slept with the horse? I literally can't tell.
There has to be some kind of weird cultural significance to it, kind of like when you go to like, if you look at Egypt stuff and you're like, I don't know why the fuck.
It's like an anti-morality tale. It's like, don't sleep with a horse or you'll give birth to a mega horse that's better than all the other horses. It's like, this sounds like a prophet. It sounds like something that's probably going to increase your standing in society.
Look, I'm sure
everyone's going to start sleeping with horses now.
I'm sure there was some tale about how that horse went on a rampage and almost caused Ragnarok.
I think Sleipnir was just a badass in the further stories. I don't think there was any problems. I did get a kick out of the fact that Thor throwing his hammer and being able to call back to him was just always there. All the way down to it being like a weird short-handled hammer and everything like that. And the fact that he can call it back to him when he throws it, like that's all in the original stories.
Yeah.
Like incredibly long ago, it's like the original superhero in some ways, and that he has a weird power and stuff, as opposed to just being a deity.
Yeah.
But each story can't tell whether a character is Odin or Thor half the time either.
Oh,
The two of them are mixed up regularly.
Yes.
Like they're father and son, but also confused with each other in like a weird Jesus sort of way. Like, but I can't tell if it's intentional or they just can't remember who the characters were. I assume that because it's vocal retellings for so long, they just kept mixing the two up.
It's just vocal retellings.
They just fuck up like, yeah, and it was
Thor, sure.
Sif, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's Fenrir, which is the most confusing story. There's just a giant wolf, and they bound him in chains. And they're like, but they're like, he's like, in case I can't break out of these chains, put your hand in my mouth so I can bite it if I can't get out of the chains. And then he can't get out of the chains, so he bites the guy's hand off. And I'm like, that was a weird. I feel like it'd be really hard to actually convince anyone into any part of this story. Like, why was he volunteering to be tied up for any reason, just so he could prove that he could break out of them? But then, if it's so prideful about him being able to break out, then why is he having an insurance policy of killing somebody or wounding somebody permanently if he can't break out of this thing? But I'm like, I can't process from any angle why this story exists or why any of the characters did what they did.
Look, man.
And that's the only story about Fenrir, the giant wolf.
Yeah.
Which showed up in Ragnarok.
Yeah, it did.
There's like, here's a giant wolf. No chains involved. Whatever. It's the only thing he does, but fuck it, there's a giant wolf.
There's a giant wolf. That Thor just kind of like punches into...
Was it back from the dead? Oh, it gets punched off of Asgard because Asgard's a flat Earth society planet.
Yeah, but it was back. Yeah, it was back from the dead. She resurrected, or she brought it back from hell.
But so I guess it was just chained for so long that it died or something.
Sure. I don't know.
It's it's perfect comic book fodder because their stories are fascinating.
The comics definitely don't follow like the Norse mythology that closely.
But it's the perfect source material because you can't adapt it correctly anyway.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You can't figure out. Like you can tell that they were retold for so many years nonsensically because of how the story has mutated beyond any recognition, and you can't tell what they were going for with half of it.
Well, it also didn't help that like. Most what is it, polytheism? Is that when you have multiple gods?
Sure, yeah.
I think it's polytheism. Yeah. Okay. Most polytheistic religions didn't really have that much like longevity to them.
There's like an Addams family set. I mean, Nah, shit. That doesn't even work. I was trying to compare it to the family that has the grid of people.
Oh.
And I said Adam's family?
Yeah.
Because I can't think of their name anymore.
It's weird because it's like, because all of those kind of religions, because they weren't...
I think they had longevity. It's just, much older now. I
mean, like, they didn't have any long-term in the sense of, like, being written down, carried on from place to place. Because, like, Christianity was like, let's build temples everywhere and tell this story. Where, like, Norse mythology didn't have temples everywhere. They didn't tell the story to Rome. Rome was like, we don't care. And like, they couldn't talk to the Greeks. The Greeks were like, we already got gods. We don't need more. And it's like, everyone kind of was already...
Well, to some extent, more modern religions also were actively hostile to older religions and like tore them down.
That's what I'm saying.
Even if stuff existed, it would be destroyed and declared pagan or repurposed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which of course is the whole thing where like a lot of modern religions have entire holidays and mythologies that are just like
pagan holidays.
They're just reboots.
Yeah.
They're like Marvel Cinematic Universe reboots of old religious practices.
I wouldn't say they're Marvel Cinematic reboots. I would say they're like spitefully neener, it's ours now.
Yeah, it's just like stuff where like
Christmas.
It's like when you look at Jesus and his birthday and rebirth and all the other things involved with all the dates that are around Jesus were just dates that already were in use for other reasons that became Jesus days.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing.
Well, yeah, because pagans were using
a weird spoiler cast of Infinity War.
In any case...
It's really hard to stay on topic of Infinity War, apparently.
Well, because Infinity War...
It's so close to weird topics that are fun to talk about.
It does also have like a kind of a trouble staying on task sometimes.
Yeah, so Hulk gets punted to Earth.
Jesus, we're still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the second scene of the movie.
Hulk goes back to Earth. Thor...
Okay, we're only an hour in.
Thor blows up with the ship. Because the ship just blows up.
Yeah.
And then
here we get the beginning of
we get a
strength
cutaway
of the movie is, which is getting characters that we've wanted to have together, have fun together.
Yeah.
So we're like, yes, Iron Man and Doctor Strange, let's do this. They didn't have the Beard Brothers conversation.
No.
That didn't happen, which I was kind of hoping, because I've seen that comic.
There wasn't a lot
I've seen the Beard Bros comic, and I'm like, yes.
I'm sure that was like a cutscene.
But like their interactions were great. Him are you saying that? It's like, are you leaning on the fucking pot of eternity or whatever the fuck he said? He's like slapping him. Get off it. Stop it.
I think his cloak slaps him.
There's great interactions there, and that's been the strength of the series as a whole, generally, is just those kinds of interactions.
Yeah.
Which is why the Guardians movies in particular are a highlight for me in particular, is because that's like just they have their own cast of characters without having to do a crossover for it to happen.
Yeah.
But here we have, like, in this movie, we have Thor and Rocket, and we have...
Thor, Rocket, and Groot.
Yeah. And
which Groot is a teenager now?
Groot barely matters in this movie.
No, he doesn't.
But in this one, we have...
Tree.
In this one, we have Iron Man and Doctor Strange together, and like there's really good dynamics throughout the movie that make it work for me. But when I talk about character motivation moments, like I had that one with the Heimdall, where I'm like, that might have not been the best person to teleport, but okay. But yeah, the Tesseract lineup, timeline doesn't line up.
Yeah.
Which is hard to keep straight in your head sometimes because so much happens in this movie.
And even in the beginning, a lot starts happening quick where you're like, oh, I guess the ship's gone. Oh, I guess Thanos is here. So, I guess he's going to kill Loki. What?
He splits up and tells all those people to go after different Infinity Stones right now, basically.
Yeah.
They go after the Time Stone and...
By the way, like, go split up. Everyone go to Earth.
Let's split up, gang. But different parts of Earth.
Yeah, but it's like,
there's a lot of
why do we
Infinity
put all of them
Stones
on Earth? What the fuck is wrong with us?
There's only 2 on Earth.
Technically, yeah.
There's Time and Vision.
Yeah, Time and...
Which is...
Well, Time goes to him.
What?
Time goes to Thanos.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they say, like, there's two Infinity Stones on Earth, go get them. And they're Vision,
it's just
Vision and Doctor Strange have them.
Yes.
Which... I forgot Doctor Strange had an Infinity Stone. I completely forgot.
Well, yeah, it wasn't talked about.
It
wasn't really talked about much.
I was so focused on all the magic shit happening and all the other relics that I didn't even absorb that he had the Time Stone, because those are just so they're really underplayed for how important they are for the 10-year cycle of Avengers. But so we start getting introduced to how this game this movie's way of handling villains, which is interesting, which is that they have a surprisingly large cast of just villains that come out of nowhere that are all Thanos' children that are basically the equivalent of Gamora and Nebula.
Well, they're all the children of Thanos.
And they do a pretty good job of having them all have, like, a particular aesthetic and personality just so you can remember them, so that when the same one shows up half an hour later, you're like, that's the same one. Like that, which is the bare minimum you need for that.
Yeah.
And some of them are just fun. Like the creepy, conniving guy is like, he's actually...
As he floats around throwing shit at people?
He's a particularly fun one in the scenes he's in. I'm like, all right, cool. He kind of works as a villain better than the actual main villains of some of the other movies.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Eccleston's Dark Elf. Well, it's a Dark Elf. And you can't tell it's Christopher Eccleston, and he doesn't speak. I don't think.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of personality in some, but a lot of them that were just like, yeah, whatever.
Well, yeah, there's all the bulky ones. All the bulky, heavy ones.
Even the girl. The girl is just like, yeah, whatever the fuck, lady.
There's like 2 or 3 like heavies where I literally can't tell if they're the same one or different ones.
There's 2 different ones, but they just look the same.
None of them speak or do anything because they don't have personalities.
One just goes to Antarctica.
They're just the heavy guy that gets beat up by the heavy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one guy gets dumped in Antarctica, and we never would ever know if he gets picked up later.
He's dead.
Is he dead, or is he in Wakanda?
No, he's dead.
Does he show up? Because I don't know if they got him from
because remember, his arm was gone.
Was his arm gone?
When they threw him to Antarctica,
he came back. He tried to go back to the portal, and his arm came off. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but then the lady was like, "Well, I'll get you back for killing." Or I was like, "He's dead."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, when did he die? Did he die in Antarctica? Jesus, he froze to death." I was like, "What? His off-screen death? Like, that's kind of important. Doctor Strange just like murdered a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like." He doesn't
but like that action scene with the sorcerers or magicians or whatever, the mystics.
The mystics
is fine.
Wizards.
But immediately I have the weird question of like character motivation. Like there was the Heimdall one, which we kind of explained, but here I'm like, the fight ends and like Banner is all like, I'm gonna make a call, and it's like the other guy's like can make time and space portals.
Well, he can make teleportation portals
and I'm
anywhere.
Like, Banner, hop in.
He didn't even ask. That guy didn't even offer.
No, Banner's just like, I'm going to make a call. And I'm like, don't you got to go somewhere? Aren't you in New York where none of this movie is going to take place? So like, you're going to go somewhere. Go with him. Because he's just going to like, I've got to defend this place because it's undefended, which is fine. But like, he can make a portal for Banner, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason not to.
Well, it's also the most basic spell. Remember, that was the first spell Doctor Strange learned was how to open a fucking portal.
And, like, Banner... but, like... And I don't even put it on the other guy. Like, Banner just does not express interest in this very obvious
Banner
tool
doesn't
he can
know.
Use. He's looking through a portal.
But I'm saying he doesn't know the extent of this. He doesn't know if, like, all of them can just do this shit.
No, but they all did portals to teleport people around, I think. And, like...
Well, what's his face in it?
Most importantly, right in front of them... Right in front of him right now, he's talking to Doctor Strange's second through a portal.
Is he? I thought the guy just walked away.
No. He literally is like, the thingy is undefended. I must do that, which is his the explanation of why he's not in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Is he's got a cover for Doctor Strange while he's gone. And so he's literally standing in Doctor Strange's like lobby.
Oh.
Through a portal while Banner's in the street. And he's like, I'm going to make a call. And then he closes the portal. I'm like, Banner, he makes portals. He can take you to Captain America. You can literally be like, Captain America, what street are you on? And then you're there, and then they can teleport all of you to Wakanda. And then you could be in Wakanda 5 minutes into this movie, and also probably rescue Vision from the attack that's about to happen.
Yeah,
and all without that guy actually having to leave his post because he could just be a quick transit for a couple people, and then he's out of the movie. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, it doesn't build the suspense of like, these are wanted criminals.
But instead they just teleport off camera. They just magically get around anyway because they're like in Ireland, I think, or Scotland, and then they're just suddenly in Africa.
No, they take a jet.
Yeah, but I'm like, you have Magic Portal Man. Isn't this a race against time? It's this whole movie is a race against time, and they don't use Magic Portal Man in any capacity. And I'm like, why did you establish?
Well, I think once the portal closes, it's kind of hard to get back in contact with him.
Yeah, but like he had a moment, like he specifically, like the guy was polite. He did not just like peace out. He was a little like, I must defend this thing because it's undefended. What are you going to do? Is a little question he asks.
Yeah,
and then and he does the dumb one-liner of like, I gotta make a call. I'm like, Banner. He's literally offering, he's literally following up on what's going to happen next with you. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That was actually one of them. That might be the single most frustrating, weird, minor moment in the entire movie for me was just like, portals. Use the portals. What's wrong with you?
It's a very handy tool.
It's a really good tool to teleport.
Yeah. It's one of the most broken.
Thanos use it.
It's like one of the most broken powers that never gets used
in movies and comics and everything.
But just in general,
it is.
Yeah, it's just like it's such an abusable power.
I was so.
Yeah, so then they basically get the gang back together, more or less.
Well, the next scene I think is the attack on Vision.
Yes.
Which is they're specifically setting up that Scarlet Witch and Vision are together now and they care about each other, which was kind of hinted at in Civil War.
Also, they were
spending together in Civil War, right?
Did he have a human skin feature? Okay.
That's something it's been 2 years. So you can say they developed that in the meantime.
That's fine. I just was like caught off guard by that.
In particular because I don't remember him being human in Civil War.
Because I was confused. I was like, who is this guy? Why is this?
Do you not recognize him?
No.
Oh, I know the actor. So yeah, sure.
I don't know the actor. I was just like, what's happening? Why is Scarlet Witch with some weird ass looking Willem Dafoe wannabe?
For me, it's like they kind of fast forward through the explanation of what's going on here. And it's easy to just accept the movie and not think about it. But if you're thinking about it, you're trying to think of like, okay, this was the breakdown of who was on what team in Civil War, like what's going on. Because that's not technically resolved still.
No.
And then you realize like, wait, Captain America, most memorable as being the one who was anti-Iron Man, as like that's the most obvious split you can remember. And then you're like, wait, but Vision was with Iron Man, but he's with Scarlet Witch and Captain America here. And you start, they only hint at it really briefly in a scene, but apparently there's like a shared custody thing going on here where Vision goes back and forth because he's supposed to be with Iron Man and under their care, but he goes on trips where I guess he and Scarlet Witch steal time to be off together, separate from these two factions or something. Which is
they're basically the Romeo and Juliet of this Civil War.
Yeah, except neither of them are do anything if they're caught, because like it's without the risk of also, Romeo and Juliet.
They're both dead now.
But are they?
Yes.
Or one of them is more of a question mark than the other one specifically.
No.
Well, they're both literally dead.
They're both
but I mean, are they dead?
Yeah.
Like, story-wise is the question.
So you can't reverse time that way.
I think we'll get to that when we get to the ending. But
you can reverse what Thanos has done in terms of like the Infinity Stones, but you can't bring back the dead.
I think everyone who died is coming back.
I do not think so.
But I think only the people who died from dusting are coming back, which is Scarlet Witch.
Did she die from dusting?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought she was crying over Vision's body and then disappeared.
Oh, I thought she just died.
No,
I thought Thanos killed her.
No. Thanos was like, yeah, I feel this too. I'm empathetic.
Fucking bro Thanos. I was like, I feel you.
He was having one of his daddy empathy moments there, and because Scarlet Witch did the big sacrifice, and then is like, by the way, JK, and then she dies from the next thing that happens. Like, well, fuck, she could not get a break.
Yeah.
But I actually like what they did with Scarlet Witch throughout the 3 movies she's in.
Sure,
I think they did an all right job with her character in general. There was a weird problem where it was too obvious that her brother was not important when he died.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh yeah, there's a Quicksilver in this movie, I guess, and then he dies. I'm like, what was his personality? Like, it was weird how much like they clearly gave way more focus to Scarlet Witch than Quicksilver.
Yeah.
In Age of Ultron, but she has a good role in each movie, and she's actually, I think one of the reasons I have trouble seeing the point of the Hulk at times is because of the movies of the characters that only exist in the movies where they don't have their own movie, like Hawkeye and Black Widow and the Hulk and Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is the one that gets the most important roles in each movie.
Yeah, she tends to have
she has a role as a kind of villain in Ultron, but then in Civil War she sets off the entire movie happening, and then she's the central emotional struggle of Infinity War and is the core of the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like at that point I'm like, and Hulk's here, the same way that I'm like, and and Black Widow is here. All these people that have colored, 2-word names that where the first one is a color are fucking with me.
Yeah.
Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, and Black Panther. I'm like, I start mixing them together.
Yeah. It's more...
Red Lightning, Green Arrow.
It's more confusing to me because, like, there's a lot of stuff that isn't touched on either. They, like, really quickly pass over the fact that, like, the Avengers just sent Hulk into space.
No. Hulk left.
Bruce Banner left, you mean?
Yeah.
Did he leave? Because he acted like...
Do you remember when he went to space? Because that was definitely like Bruce Banner, like, I can't control myself. I love you, Black Widow, but I'm leaving. And he just flew off in a jet into space, and then he shows up in Ragnarok.
How come he acted like
he pieced out on his own?
I thought he acted like
nobody else was like,
that.
Get out of here, Hulk. What? He remembered that.
Did he?
It was very intentional. There was even like the whole like I'm back, and then there was like the awkward silence between him and Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, because he just left her because of the whole struggle they have.
Right.
It was
I guess it's hard to remember.
Age of Ultron, right? Where Age of Ultron sets up the bond between Hulk and Black Widow, because Hulk has his rage moments, and then Black Widow is the one person that can kind of like lull him out of it when it's time to stop because the fighting is over.
Yeah.
And like that's the only hint of control he has. And then of course he's afraid of hurting her, because in Avengers that was the big traumatizing attack that happened between those two, was when he like went after her on the jet. Right. On the super jet, where the Firefly scenes happen, where everyone just talks for an hour.
Yeah.
And so like that's like he's afraid of hurting her, so he leaves, and then rages out for years in wherever Ragnarok took place, and sort of becomes more in tune with how he works and figures that out.
And then doesn't.
Space where he'll hurt people he doesn't care about, I guess, was the idea.
Well, he just lets the Hulk take over, and he just kind of
I'm more amazed that Bruce Banner, a normal Earthling man, just hops in a jet and just flies into space and just finds civilization, I guess.
Well, it's not like it's unknown.
It kind of is. Even for modern Marvel, like normal human beings don't really know how to find aliens.
They have connections.
Especially non-Asgard aliens.
Well, yeah,
you might think of a comic reason, but there's no movie reason where like Banner just hops in a jet and then finds alien civilization. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
I assume that alien civilization found him. They're like, oh, this guy's a good trophy, and got him. But I'm like, that was quick.
Yeah.
You think it'd take years and years of space exploration to even find anyone in space. I mean, but I can only assume he literally left space. Like, he left Earth orbit and then just got scooped up by a thing immediately. It's like, aha, we got you now. Like,
no, honestly, what ended up happening was he just landed on a junker planet, and he got collected.
But even then, like, he couldn't... They don't have FTL.
Who?
Humans.
No.
How did he get to a junker planet?
I don't know what the planet was.
Because I'm sitting here like, it takes years and years to get to, like, Mars. in human technology terms. Well, I mean... They don't have FTL. I'm like, he must have been scooped up in our solar system. He must have just gotten scooped up by someone that was like, haha, I got my Hulk senses were tingling, and I got this superhero in my pocket now.
Maybe.
Like that.
It's never explained, so I don't know. They just
skip over it. People forget why he's even in space.
Yeah, I certainly did.
Yeah, that's why I had to explain that. It's like that was acknowledged in the movie. He comes back and they're like, oh shit. Like, there's like the silence of like Banner being back because he specifically left all of them.
Yeah.
And that's basically the only scene Black Widow has in the movie.
Yes.
This is the awkward silence scene, and then one scene where she's kicking some dudes later.
Yeah, it's everybody gets an action scene. But yeah, and so then he gets the gang back together. Mm-hmm. They all go and meet what's his face? War Machine, who's a cripple now.
Yeah, because he got shot. He can't walk anymore. Or he's not fully paralyzed, but he was going through physical therapy after what happened at the end of Civil War.
Yeah,
when Vision shot him, because that was the thing. Is Vision was the person who cripples War Machine during like the final chase at the end of the entire scene, and that's like that's War Machine's one scene. Just like how Black Widow gets one scene, War Machine gets one scene, which is that one where he's like, "Here's where I am since Civil War. I'm going to be in this conflict now." That's a court martial, and it's just he's the central figure of explaining we don't give a fuck about the Civil War now because this is too important.
Yeah,
and that's the last time he speaks, basically. Later on, you'll see Falcon and War Machine doing bombing runs over the war.
Yeah,
one scene. You're like, oh yeah, they're still here.
All right.
That's one of the ways they were able to manage the sheer number of characters in this movie, is that they decided the only characters that matter are the original Avengers, Guardians, and Doctor Strange.
And Iron Man.
That's the original Avengers.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
So there's not even, but it's not even the original Avengers. 4 of the original Avengers.
Yeah, 4 of the original Avengers.
Doctor Strange and Guardians are the only people that matter.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, one of the Guardians is literally Thanos' daughter. But yeah, it's an Avengers movie where Nebula is more important than most of the Avengers characters.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to absorb.
Yeah, so then they get the gang back together, then they fly to Wakanda?
where they're going to try to save Vision's life by removing the stone from his being.
Yes. Meanwhile, while this is all happening, Thor is hanging out with the Guardians.
Poor Vision was literally just created as a plot device to die.
Well, it was all an accident.
His entire life, from beginning to end, it was just the story of a person that's just created to be a plot device and then dies as a plot device, and they just try to give him a romance in the middle so we care about him. It's like, man, you got a fucking horrible take in this whole drawing straws of what Avenger you get to be.
I mean, at least he got to find love before he died. Not many people have that chance.
But it's like, holy shit, what a fate to have as a character.
Well, you are a machine, so I don't know what kind of real long-term fate you expect to have.
Just had to make him have an Infinity Stone, Tony.
Well, they had no other energy source. Hey, I mean, that was the one thing the fucking Wakandas didn't argue about. Okay. They didn't say using the Infinity Stone was a bad idea.
Ultron's a hard movie to remember. Why does Vision exist? Was he literally an accident that happened on accident, or was he created to solve a problem? I'm pretty sure he was created to solve the problem of Ultron. Was he made literally to beat Ultron?
Yes.
And then he beat Ultron.
And they just used the Infinity Stone to power him because they didn't have anything else.
I did like the line of dialogue, you lost another super robot? Because immediately they reveal that Vision turned off his tracker. It's like, yeah. Tony, you gotta get a handle on things.
Well,
you keep making these AI robots, and then they just keep getting away.
He made 2, and also, what are you gonna do?
He has a 0% success rate on being able to keep track of them. Well, and in both cases, it's been a big deal.
What are you gonna do when it's a robot? It can just write code to turn it off at some point.
Stop.
Then it's not sentient.
He also couldn't keep Jarvis safe, so he lost Jarvis. He can't even. He's a terrible success rate with these AI. They're all fun.
I mean, he kept Jarvis safe for 3 movies. It's good enough. It's like
we were able to witness approximately 6 hours of Jarvis being okay. That's a good parenting.
Yeah, good job.
He did it. He raised Jarvis on a good pop culture diet of suicidal tendencies. All I wanted was a Pepsi, and she wouldn't give it to me. I still remember that scene.
I mean,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
The one time the camera just comes down into Tony's office or workshop in the second movie, and they're just playing that song.
Yeah. Iron Man's doing a good job of raising Spider-Man.
Oh boy, that whole can of worms.
So,
but speaking of undercutting endings of previous movies. We have the Ragnarok being undercut by everyone that was rescued dies anyway, and home is where the heart is. JK, you know where your heart is impaled by sword. And then Spider-Man turns away from super suit and then gets super suit immedially in his next movie he's in.
Well, he has to, otherwise he'd die from space because he's an idiot.
Yeah,
he held onto a rocket going into space, and he's like, oh yeah, I guess that's why I can't breathe so good.
I couldn't help but feel like it was Tony's fault that Spider-Man came with him.
No,
because
the super suit was supposed to be a padding, so that way he could fly back to Earth and take the impact.
I am sure that Tony has a Fulton retrieval device of some kind, like in Metal Gear Solid 5.
I don't think so.
Where you can just snatch a dude. I'm sure he has that kind of technology without literally making an entire super suit. In that process, you're just enabling him at that point. They basically just made it happen.
Well, I mean, it would have been smarter if he had thrown the super suit on him and then remote control told it to fly himself back.
He really just let Spider-Man come with him, basically.
Well,
negligence.
More than Mary or whatever. I don't know.
But it's okay. He's a super genius. He thinks of everything except for how to not have the child come with you.
Well, he's not a super genius. He's just he's a super engineer. He's not a genius to any capacity. I mean, don't mistake that. Iron Man isn't even in the top 10 of smartest people in Marvel.
Nope. He's just a doer.
He's just a doer. He's an amazing engineer.
Yeah.
That's his only trait. He's not anything special.
He's definitely something special.
Well, you know what I mean. Comparatively,
he is basically a genius with the shit he's doing.
Well, I'm saying Bruce Banner is a scientific genius. He's not just only gamma radiation. He's really great at all science. Yeah. Iron Man's only good at making robots.
I never would have assumed that Bruce Banner was only an expert in gamma radiation.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that
it's like saying Peter Parker's only an expert in spiders.
Well, Tony Stark is only an expert in machines.
That's a really wide thing. It also involved AI, apparently, so it's even going further.
Well, it required Bruce Banner to be there to help him make the AI.
But he already had Jarvis.
Well, that's
still high level shit.
Well, yeah.
No, people can't make Jarvis now.
You think Watson exists, you fool?
What's Watson?
Watson is Jarvis.
What's Watson?
Watson is a not self-aware, but it's an AI designed by IBM. It played Jeopardy and beat humans at Jeopardy.
That doesn't sound like an AI thing, though.
Yeah.
That sounds like information recall.
Well, some of it is information.
Like saying,
for the Jeopardy thing
I feel like that's like the encyclopedia equivalent of beating somebody at chess.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Well, the Jeopardy thing...
It's a complicated response system, but I don't know if that's an AI.
No, the Jeopardy thing was in its infancy of Watson. It was just it was a publicity stunt to gain funding to make better Watson. Anyways...
Which all the more reason is why...
Watson now is
the fact that you have one example... you literally have an example of what you're talking about.
An example for fucking the movie.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what highlights that he's next level shit, is that he made that.
Well, yeah.
The guy in Marvel, the guy that makes Watson, is a genius.
Well, but I mean, I'm saying
that's not like, well, that's just he's just good an engineer. He's just good at what he does. It's no big deal.
Well, the catalog.
You'd be like, fucking, he made an AI. It's crazy. Look at this shit. It's opening doors now.
Yeah, I guess the term I'm saying
they're
is
opening doors for each other. The robots are polite.
I'm saying like the in terms of like broad spectrum genius is saying like I'm a genius in the facet of just knowledge. Tony is not.
I think you're applying it to a standard of like, somebody was arbitrarily written as being the mega ultra super genius of all the time and space, therefore nobody else is good by comparison.
Well, no, there are people who have specific skill sets, but there are people who are genuinely geniuses in all facets. Like there's a kid that like he's like the second smartest person in the Marvel universe, and he has to eat every second of his life because
they made L.
Kinda.
They made L down to the sweets and everything that help him concentrate.
Well, it's not just sweets. He just has to eat food.
Yeah, but he has to power his brain.
Yeah,
right?
because
they made L.
Yeah.
Which one came first? Which one was it? L? Was it L that came first? Did they literally put L in the Marvel universe?
I think they literally ripped off L.
The second smartest character in all of Marvel.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's.
We're cracking the code today.
But he's like a genius in every facet. Like he's basically knows.
I'm guessing he hasn't shown up in the movies in any way.
He will never show up in the movies.
Is he not even important in the Marvel?
No,
movies?
his existence.
They just wanted to make a smart guy.
Well, no, he existed in. I think his first appearance was World War Hulk. I think.
Well, we're past that. Apparently,
yeah, we're way. Yeah. It's all over.
We're way past World War Hulk at this point.
Yeah, so the kid's not going to show up. I mean, Mr. Fantastic doesn't even exist in this universe, so
that's probably for the better.
No, it's not. Really.
Man, I don't like the Fantastic Four as a concept or as characters.
Mr. Fantastic's great because he's a terrible person.
Like when we lose the X-Men, I'm like, oh fuck, there's actually some good ones in there. But when we lose the Fantastic Four, I'm like,
I don't know. A Fantastic Four fought some cool people.
Like Maskman and Maskman.
Like Scarlet Witch.
And Maskman.
Who was a bad person.
And Maskman.
And Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch was bad for like 10 minutes.
No. Scarlet Witch literally like possessed darkness and almost destroyed the planet.
I was saying
in the movie?
Yeah. Like, hey, Scarlet Witch was bad for like 10 minutes until she wasn't.
Yeah. Scarlet Witch was like actually a problem in the Marvel universe. Like she was legitimately a problem.
She and Quicksilver were both in jail in the movie for being mutants, essentially.
Yes.
And then Ultron was like, I could use these. And that's basically how they ended the story.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're going too far. And then that was basically it. Like, we don't want to work for you anymore. Because you're attacking a Russian city, I think. Because basically what happened.
Yeah. I think because he was just like, senselessly slaughtering people. And they're like, whoa, we have like a method to this.
So like pro tip for villains when you're recruiting people is make sure that your RPG party has like motivations to be in your party or they'll leave.
I mean,
they made the classic Dragon Age mistake where they lose maximum number of people.
Yeah.
Over the course of it.
Technically, if you're a villain, you don't have to worry if you're a stronger villain than the henchman that you carry, which Ultron was. But he just didn't kill them when they left. He just didn't care.
I find it interesting how often the "why are we working for this guy" plot point is coming up in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened to Yondu. Like everyone's like, why are we working for this guy? Like, yeah. And then they just took out Yondu, and then all the Ultron people are like, why are we working for this guy? He's fucking crazy. And that just keeps happening.
Yeah. No one does that to Thanos, though.
Scarlet Witch is supposed to be... Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are both Magneto's children?
Correct.
Which is where this gets even more confusing, because there's no Magneto in this universe.
Wonder what happened to that.
So now they're just...
Ian McCullen, where are you?
So now they're just, like, vaguely Russian people that show up in a prison one day.
Vaguely Russian?
Because they can't show Magneto anywhere.
Well, technically they can now.
Which makes them Jewish.
Remember, they have the X-Men now.
They do, but it's too late for some of these characters.
Well,
I mean, they could retroactively establish her parentage, I guess.
I like Magneto just shows up to the Infinity War and he's like, my daughter, I'm here to help.
I mean, well, not now. Now they have to bring her back to life first. Well, and after dying and coming back to life and losing love of your life, I feel like finding out your dad is just kind of like a low impact thing at that point.
Fun fact. It actually would have been incredibly easy to win the Infinity War if Magneto was there so he could just steal the gauntlet right off his hand.
Mm-hmm. That gauntlet's on there, apparently, because they were struggling for a long time to pull it off.
That gauntlet was made by a giant Peter Dinklage.
A giant Peter Dinklage.
A giant Peter. Well, no. A giant dwarf Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. A giant dwarf.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was actually a dwarf of the giants.
Yeah.
Which is the worst fate you can have.
No.
Yes.
No.
He's not a regular dwarf.
Yes.
Regular dwarves are not that big.
Well, no, but that's our fantasy dwarves.
No.
His entire race were dwarves.
Wait, what? I thought he was a dwarf of giants.
He wasn't the dwarf. They were the dwarves. That was the Dwarven planet where they're all like smelting and doing dwarvy shit and stuff like that.
They're all that size?
It's just the space dwarves are apparently really big.
Why? In Norse mythology, regular dwarves are not that big.
They do what they do. That's just where they went with this, is that there's just a race of giants that are all dwarves.
But the giants weren't even giants.
No.
Giants were just regular people.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they even called them giants. They just called them the dwarves.
Well, no.
And the dwarves. And the surprise was that the dwarves, you're expecting like Gimli to show up, and then it's like a fucking massive dude. And they're just the dwarves. They're all smelters and shit like that.
This is the dwarf giants.
Yeah, all the dwarves are in this universe, it seems like all the dwarves are the equivalent of that one guy we met in Anne Orlando that's smelting shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's all the dwarves. They're just hanging out smelting shit, and they're huge, but they're the dwarves. Which means that they have big old beards and they like to smell things and hang out underground and all that shit.
Well, hang in space underground.
Well, he was in a space forge that was powered by a star. You gotta come out for some things, like the Star Forge.
They built a forge around a dying star.
They built a Star Forge. That's what you do when you want to make mega space weapons and need infinite energies. You make a Star Forge. That's actually a relatively common sci-fi idea. That's one of the fun ones. But it shoots a star laser and makes you forge shit.
It's really odd that, like, the more I keep thinking about that, that's also another plot point that doesn't make sense.
You need crazy shit like that when you start making up all these super metals that they keep making up for Marvel movies.
Yeah, but I think it's also more confusing because dwarves are technically part of the Thor universe.
I don't know if they're acknowledged in that context here, though.
They are.
Or at least
because Odin, because remember, he specifically says, like, I thought Odin was going to protect us.
Right, they mentioned dwarves before. I think it's more that the dwarves are not Asgardian.
They're not Asgardian, no. Dwarves are from a different realm, but the point I'm saying is that they're from Thor's universe.
Yeah, they're neighbors.
Which means they know about the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Why would you build a fucking gauntlet for a guy to harness the power of the Tesseract, you fucking idiot? Because if he's going to take the Tesseract, then you know that he's going to attack Odin to get it, which means you're not going to have protection anymore, which means people are going to just kill the... Why do people even...
Well, no, that happened in a different order.
Well, no, he built the gauntlet, and then Thanos attacked him.
No. So Thanos attacks, and he's like, I'm going to kill you all unless you make this gauntlet. And then he made the gauntlet, and they killed them all anyway.
Yeah, so why build a gauntlet?
Which, by the way, is another case of Thanos not killing half of people.
Well, the dwarves don't count.
He killed everyone except for Peter Dinklage, apparently. So I'm like, what's the math that he does here? He only establishes the half thing twice. That was the one public shooting, and then, at the end of the movie.
I think it's based on whatever the need is of the time. So, like,
he needs to make up his mind.
I only need half of the dwarves to make this, when only one dwarf is needed.
Like, he already has a really tenuous moral code to begin with, but the way that he keeps going back on it constantly really nullifies the meaning of it on a regular basis.
I think they just wanted to make Thanos seem like one of those kind of, like, those villains that are, like, they think they are doing good, but they're actually the bad guy.
They're doing the thing where the Marvel villains that get the most praise are the ones that
aren't just evil. They're not just like, moo ha ha ha, kill everyone.
The really shitty villains, which are all the ones that are like, I'm an evil one, or I'm mad at you for reasons that might be just, but they're poorly
literally Spider-Man villains. every Spider-Man villain.
Well, like there's 3 villains. There's the shitty villains. There's the daddy issues villains, which they've done too much now. There's 4 villains. There's the ones that just have nothing.
Yeah,
Christopher Eccleston villains, where it's just, this is just, you barely even said why they're the villain, but whatever. I guess they're the villain. There's the daddy issues villain, which happens a lot, but in particular happened with Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Then there's the we are the same, you and I villains, which is like the first Iron Man movie. There's like evil other corporation guy who makes his own Iron Man suit, or the Hulk movie. I think both Hulk movies had like, I'm another Hulk, but I'm yellow, or I'm a Cyclone, or whatever the fuck that movie was. There's just like, I'm a other Hulk, which is what Black Panther did. Is like that had a you are the same, you and I kind of villain to an extent. But there's also the villain that has some kind of point that speaks to some kind of mistake or thing that's negative that the protagonist is kind of like it's like a blind side of theirs of some sort, or something they're not willing to acknowledge not willing to do.
The duality of man.
Yeah, or this villain that's like, he's right about the problem, but his solution involves being he takes pride in the solution for being the one person willing to do the thing that no one else is willing to do, but also they might kind of be full of shit on their solution to begin with, but they're just committed to it, and they're so fanatical in their rightness of their solution, and they've lost so much already in the commitment to it so far that now they have to just stick it out. And that's what we can call the was it the investment fallacy one villain, basically? Was it the the one where I've already come this far, so now I've got to keep going? That whole fallacy. That's the other villain, basically.
So like, there's no turning back now. Fallacy, basically.
Which there's certainly no more turning back once he throws his daughter off a cliff.
There's no more turning back once you snap your fingers and everybody is just gone.
Well, yeah.
There's no turning back from that.
It's pretty.
But I guess, you know what? It's kind of funny when you think about it in a hindsight, where you go like, okay, so you spent one day collecting all the Infinity Stones. Great day. You got everything you wanted in one day. Snap your fingers, half the planet's dead. And now what? You just go and sit on your throne for the rest of life?
Yes.
Or, okay, that's pretty boring.
He went to some nice planet that's nice, and he's like, I'm just going to hang out here.
I mean, he just went on a rampage.
He literally went on a happily ever after.
Yeah, but like,
he won his goal, and he's like, I'm just gonna hang out here now. I won. That's it. The end. Yay.
But like, what? He didn't even want to like rule the universe. No. He just wanted to kill half the population.
He's just like, if I kill half the population, then all populations will be better. And he has a test case of like when he wiped out Gamora's planet, and then like now they're supposedly better off now, according to his standards at least.
Well,
and so he's like, now I'll do this to everyone.
They're better off in terms of like economics.
And then we had the rare case of a villain winning at what they wanted to do. So he's like, all right, well, that's it. I retire. Except there's a part 2, so there's that.
Well, yeah, the retirement is going to get cut short when everybody who didn't die is going to be like, and give those stones back. Like,
how great were the Guardians scenes? I had a really good time, especially with Thor meeting the Guardians. I'm like, these, like, whether you like the Thor movies or not, like, do you agree that Thor as a character, either with his fish out of water or his misunderstanding of people, is usually like, that's fun?
Yeah,
they can mine that.
Thor is a fun character.
So what the number one thing you want to have happen in this movie is just seeing the Thor meet Rocket and the Guardians, and it's hard to imagine it going much better.
Yeah, it did go as bad as...
Rocket is rabbit and Groot is tree, and everyone's talking over him sleeping, and like Star-Lord's jealous, and like even, and like, was it
like Gamora was touching his arms?
Gamora's touching him, and like was it shit names? Drax is like, it's like a pirate had a child with an angel. It's like his muscles are like made of steel. It's like, you are a boy, this is a man. Like, there's so many great lines just from that one scene they have together. And I'm like, this is everything I hoped it would be.
Even once he wakes up, it's great.
Yeah,
because it's just like,
just every part of that interaction is like, this is the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
it's great. I just want the next Guardians movie to have Thor in it. Like Guardians 3, especially if Gamora doesn't come back to life, just put Thor in there to round out the cast, because Thor doesn't really have a home anymore anyway.
Oh God, are they gonna like throw the stone back into the pit and just be like, we want our money back, and like just get Gamora
back? Gamora refund?
Yeah. Can you do that?
Gamora is the out of all of the deaths that happened that weren't Infinity Stone based, that's the one where I'm most like uncertain if they'll stick to it or not.
Maybe she just wanted to go.
It's rough because Gamora is like kind of core to the Guardians movies. And there is something rough about losing a character like that in not a Guardians movie.
Yeah.
Like losing a character that's important to an individual story during a crossover is like a brutal thing to have.
Well, they don't currently have any story going on, though.
But there will be a third Guardians movie.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be rough when it's just like, yeah, Gamora died between movies.
But like, technically the first and second movie were just about like, hey, Thanos is bad.
It reminds me of...
so we're dealing with it.
Well, it reminds me of like, what is it?
Spoiler alert, this is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and you just didn't know, and you're not getting a third one.
This kind of was Guardians 3. With the extent that, in some ways, just with the fact that how Guardians so heavily sets up...
There's just a lot more Guardians.
There's the Guardians characters, but it's also the relationships between these characters, and it's specifically the relationships between Peter and Gamora and Nebula and Thanos.
Yeah.
Like that particular series of characters. And this is the climax of that story.
That's those arcs.
So in a way, this is the third Guardians movie, but a lot of them are kind of backseat characters to an extent because they can only do so much in a movie.
I want to point out, by the way, okay, so following with the story. So what ends up happening is Thor meets the Guardians. They split up. So Rocket Raccoon
wants to make a super weapon again with Rocket, and Rocket's super into it because they're talking about making a super weapon.
Yeah, and Groot just goes along
which
because
has one of the best lines where they were like, was it? I don't remember what Thor specifically said, but he was saying something along the lines of like, it will disintegrate you on the spot and rend your soul into pieces or some crazy shit like that. And it's like, Rocket's like, is it crazy that just makes you want to do it more? I'm like, Rocket, you're great. I can't tell if this movie was written in any way by the guy that did those movies or if they just got it or what.
Maybe. Oh, I'm sure there was like writers from each individual thing that just all came together.
Like I wonder how the writing process is because like the writing and directing credits usually like a couple dudes.
Yeah,
which is the same people that did Civil War.
But there's always like 7, you gotta wonder how 8, 9 people in that room. There's not just like
how many ghostwriters are there that handled these characters individually in the past that make these work? Because all the Guardians dialogue does not feel like a different person's handling them.
No.
It feels
everyone feels like they're being handled by the correct handlers.
Yeah, which is weird because they might not be, and I can't tell.
I think they're just. I mean, it's not like you don't have a lot to work with.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of movies you can go over, and it's not like I'm sure those ghostwriters aren't like picking up jobs by the numbers. Like, so I think they probably stayed with Disney for a while, and they're like, I'll just keep doing Marvel stuff if you don't mind.
Thank you, Disney, sir. Yeah, please don't fire me. I want to make Thor 15.
Oh, that's good to hear. We got plans.
We own your soul.
Just wait till Marvel Star Wars.
It'd be the same if something happened to your children.
We'll put them in the credits.
Or at the credits in their blood.
And they copyrighted for 100 years.
Aside from saying that the Guardians were handled well, I don't think there's much more story to cover.
No.
Besides talking about the ending.
Yeah,
we kind of hinted at the Wakanda stuff too much already.
I also,
like we kind of covered a lot of the shit that's left.
I do want to mention, so we talked about how they go to the Collector, and Thanos is just like basically teabagging the Collector, getting his Infinity Stone from him, because did a good job on that. And it's one of the 2 stones he gets off camera. Yeah.
Because the people defending it just suck.
Yeah, and so we
established this Collector so he could exist in this movie only as a vision.
Yeah. So the rest of the Guardians that didn't go along with the weapon plan, which is just Drax, Bug Lady, Gamora, and
is her name Mantis?
Sure.
I think her name is whatever the
whatever bug
I think she has a bug name. Like it's just that's her whole name. But
it's probably Mantis.
I don't know if it's Mantis or not.
It's probably Mantis. In any case, they go to the Collector, find Thanos. Thanos attack. Thanos turns Mantis and Drax into just paper, and they don't die.
That was really confusing.
Yeah. I was like, why didn't you just kill them?
At first, I was like, that's a hell of an abrupt way to kill off those characters.
Yeah, I was like, God damn, I guess they're just dead. And then
they just get back together, and I'm like, is the Reality Stone not a Reality Stone? Is it an illusion stone?
I think so, yeah.
Is it only a pretend stone? Because that's way less Reality Stone. But then but it worked on the guns for real. Like, it didn't pretend to work on the guns.
I think it has a radius.
Like it just wears off and everything reverts back to normal.
Yeah,
like the bubbles turn back into bullets.
Well,
Like wherever the bubbles like dissipated, they just go laser like for a second there.
I don't know. Maybe. But in any case, so yeah, I just was caught off guard by that. I was confused by why Thanos like literally murdered an entire spaceship of people that weren't a threat to him, and then just only turned two people that were literally one person that was like, my life goal is to murder you, turned him just into paper mache, and then just moved on with his life.
No, turned him into rocks.
Oh yeah, turned him into rocks.
Yeah, she turned into weird spirals.
Yeah,
of paper.
Mantis was the one that was like,
yeah, she like spiraled out onto the floor.
Yeah.
Like, that's unnerving.
Yeah, but
she got peeled.
And then what's his face was there? Because then he takes Gamora. He's like, okay, I'm just take her then.
And Star-Lord shoots finally, but it's bubbles.
It's bubbles. But they go through the portal. He basically tells her like, "Where's the last stone? I'll kill your sister." I don't know why that's important. I don't know why she cares about her sister at all. Like, I would have just been like, "No, Dad, you can't have the fucking gauntlet that will kill all life." But whatever.
Well, I think they wanted this to be everyone's failures.
That's not a failure. It's just stupidity. She was like, "I want you to murder me, Star-Lord," and then he's like, "Okay, I will." And then she's like, "Well, I don't want you to murder my sister, so I'll tell you where the stone is." "Oh, well, the stone requires me to die."
You literally did not make a point there.
The point is like it's not.
Like it's
not about her failure.
I can't even say it's a semantics argument. You're literally like arguing against sense.
No,
it doesn't make sense.
She would rather die than let Thanos know where the stone is.
Yeah, but she's not willing to watch her sister suffer.
She's not willing to let her sister suffer more.
Yeah.
Why would you rather? So you would rather have the person that you love kill you than watch your sister, than just basically be killed by Thanos and then watch your sister die, or vice versa?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
But then your sister's going to die anyway because Thanos will get the gauntlet?
It's just like how later on Star-Lord should be letting the thing that defeats Thanos happen, but then fucks up for emotional reasons. That's the same thing that Gamora does.
That also fucking drove me nuts.
Like those failings of like emotion of people's humanity failing them in these times of where you need to repress emotion and stuff like that is what leads to Thanos winning.
I'm genuinely surprised that like Doctor Strange didn't just like ethereal whip Star-Lord
for doing that.
For like flying towards him, like not just go like, "And sit, boy." Like, because
it does feel like Doctor Strange might have been able to just stop Star-Lord in that moment.
He could have done it instantly,
or just like,
not instantly, but he could have just
on the other side of not Mars.
Yeah, you could have put a portal. Now. Like, why didn't you just put a portal in front of Thanos, and then Star-Lord would just been like, "Whoa!" like through the portal. Mm-hmm. What? Like, and he saw the future. That was like, we sat there for like 5 minutes watching him just move his head around crazy. He's like, "I saw a billion different."
That's what makes that the only sacrifice that enables Thanos to win that is explainable in a more like, aside from like just a emotion failing you when in crucial moments, like when Doctor Strange saves Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Like, that is the one time, like, I'm like, this is a terrible trade, but, like, that's the one time where it makes sense because because he saw the one successful path, he knows that Iron Man is required in, like, the future where we win.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the only time where a really weird trade happens where you're like, oh, this is actually a plan.
Yeah.
Like, that moment. Also, good fake out. Because everyone's waiting for Iron Man to die.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, oh, a lot of the old Avengers are like, their contracts are coming up. In particular, very publicly, you always hear about
Robert Downey Jr. just tired.
Robert Downey Jr. being done with these movies. Yeah. And so like you're like, oh, he's gonna die. You're like, oh, there it is, there it goes. And like, it's a fake out. He lives. And I'm like, oh shit, he's in the next movie.
Well, I mean, they filmed the movie at one time.
Yeah.
So he's gone now. But
I mean, like it's that they're aware that people think he's going to die.
Yeah.
So they fuck with us on that topic specifically.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, but yeah, then there's, basically all that happens afterwards is that he gets the Life Stone by throwing her into a pit from Red Skull's recommendation, by the way. It's odd.
Yeah, Red Skull's just
there.
I guess Red Skull got sucked into the Tesseract.
We did. So he activated the Tesseract and then like.
So I guess he's just a ghost contained by the stones. I think the reveal here is that if you're specifically absorbed by or killed by directly the stones, and I mean like directly, then not like the stone not like the stone threw a spear into you and you died of the spear, but I mean like the stone's power kills you specifically.
Yeah,
you're then contained in specifically the Soul Stone, and I think that's why he's at the Soul Stone.
Oh, okay.
And I think that is important actually.
Like that means that Gamora's not dead.
It sounds like a dumb gimmick that comes out of nowhere just to be like, hey, look, Red Skull, isn't this funny? But I think it's actually like going to be a core to the explanation of how they get everyone who got dusted back in the next movie.
They're just all on that planet?
I think everyone's in the Soul Stone, specifically. I think the Soul Stone contains everyone, so if they're able to defeat Thanos and get the Infinity Gauntlet, they might be able to bring everyone back that was killed specifically by that.
I'm going to have to read.
The problem is, I don't think that includes Gamora.
No,
because Gamora wasn't dusted. She was literally murdered as a sacrifice.
But she was sacrificed to make the stone.
She was sacrificed to get the stone, but she wasn't like absorbed or anything. Well, she's just a corpse that's laying there.
I thought it said it was a soul sacrifice. Like you
have to kill the one you love.
Yeah, which
led to a fun moment of like Gamora being like, "This is my great revenge against you. This is your great failing, is that you never loved anyone." And like that's like, oopsie.
I kind of don't believe that he actually loved her.
He got over it pretty fast.
Yeah. I don't think he actually loved her. I think
they do spend a decent amount of screen time dedicated to establishing that they have some kind of bond.
Well, yeah.
Even though it's really just his history. But the fact that he thinks back to her when he wins kind of re-cements that a little bit. In his moment of triumph of his life project, basically, his mind goes straight to Gamora.
Well, if it wasn't for her dying, he couldn't literally win.
Yeah.
So, maybe he's just paying respects.
To the one sacrifice that was the most important in the process.
But, so basically he gets that stone, throws her off a cliff, whatever, she's gone. Then he moves back, or then he goes to deal with the Mans. This Iron Man, Spider-Man.
The Mans. There's a Spider-Man and an Ant-Man now?
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah, but he's not in this movie.
Spider-Man, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, and Mantis are all just sitting in a tree. They're just hanging out on a planet. I don't know what planet that is. Is that his planet? Is that Thanos' planet?
That was Thanos' planet.
Okay, well, that was fucked up then. They crashed like a ship on Thanos' planet, and he just showed up, and he's like, what happened to my house?
And I guess they just
hung out?
I guess not much time passed.
Well,
because Thanos gets this time stone, then goes straight to the last stone. And so I guess they probably didn't stay on... After Thanos leaves, they're probably not there for very long before they all just die.
Yeah.
Which, that was the... I think of all the parts of the everyone dying part, that was the most surprising. Is they kind of established, like, okay, like half of everyone dies, right? So it's like, oh no... There goes Black Panther, and there goes Falcon, and there goes Scarlet Witch, but also they're surrounded by all the people. Like, almost every scene, there's like a person in the background that's still alive. Mm-hmm. And so there's you see two people, and one of them dies in each scene. And then it cuts to the planet with Tony Stark on it, and everyone fucking dies.
Yeah.
Like, in particular, all the Guardians.
Yep, all the Guardians are gone.
All that's left is back on Earth. There's still Rocket.
Did Rocket survive?
He's the only survivor.
Right, yeah, because
Rocket is grouped with Groot, and you see Groot die.
Yeah,
but they keep showing scenes of half of each. Like every scene is one person watching another person die.
Yeah,
over and over again. Then they cut to the planet. They cut to the Iron Man planet, and you just watch every single character die one by one. You're like, oh, that's the last one then. Okay, that one's the last one. I'm like, okay, come on. Like, what the fuck, man? It's like, all right, you already killed Mantis and Drax. And then Doctor Strange, and then Spider-Man, and then you're like, no, not in that order, but like after a certain number of people die, you're like, okay, Star-Lord's safe. No, he's not. Like, Jesus Christ, calm down.
Wasn't Spider-Man the last one to die?
I think it was Spider-Man. I think it was Drax. I think it was Drax and Mantis at the same time, and then then you think, okay, Star-Lord's safe then because we've established a pattern here, and two people have died in this shot, so Star-Lord's fine, right? Then he's not. And then Doctor Strange says that this was the only way, reinforcing as a callback the idea that this is the one timeline where they succeed, and that he has a plan, which apparently he's not necessary for because he's fucked. Then there's the final emotional scene is the particularly drawn out death of Spider-Man, because he's got the most audience favor out of many of these characters, and he's fucking Spider-Man, which is the most underrepresented but most overliked character in the Marvel Universe, because he's not in this universe until recently. And you're like, he can't die, obviously. And then he starts dying. You're like, all right, come on now. Then they cut to fucking post-credit scenes where more people die.
Did they?
Did you watch the post-credit scene? Oh, you missed it. So the post-credit scene is... We have our our twice a decade reunion with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, he's back. I was gonna ask, like, where is Samuel?
He shows up as Nick Fury, and he's with that one that one lady that he's always with, lady with the ponytail that plays a more superhero-y character in the actual comics, but in this is just like his hand or whatever.
Yeah.
A car spins out in front of them and they go up and there's no one in it because people are disappearing on Earth now.
Yeah.
And then she disappears, and so she's gone. And then Samuel Jackson goes to do like a distress beacon for a specific character. Then he starts dissolving. So now Nick Fury is gone too, and he drops the thing, and on the screen it has the Captain Marvel symbol. So he's calling Captain Marvel the character, which is the next movie. I think the Captain Marvel movie happens like 2 or 3 months before Infinity War 2. So here comes Captain Marvel. So it's a stinger introducing a hero, but it's also a stinger that shows deaths. So I want to point out this is personal. Like this.
Okay.
I've talked about like throughout the movie. I've talked about like little like issues I've had with individual things. They're often like little nitpick things and whatever. This is an especially personal one that's just like it's my thing and no one else cares about this besides me apparently.
Okay.
But it bothers me.
Go for it.
If they want to have this fucking universe where all these things keep calling to each other, it's got to go both ways. I'm mad that we keep having shows that acknowledge the movies, but the movies never acknowledge the shows. And I get that you don't want to have plot central stuff in the movies rely on the shows because then you can't tell what's happening.
Yeah.
But when everyone's fucking dying, you better cut to like Jessica Jones dying, and you should cut to like Agent Coulson dying and stuff like that. Yes. Yes. Especially in The Stinger. At least in The Stinger with Samuel L. Jackson, where it's like seeing if people even remember Samuel L. Jackson in these movies anymore.
The Stinger, I'll give you that. In The Stinger. I don't want it in the main movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the actual dust part.
Yeah.
Not like, oh man, suddenly Jessica Jones is in this movie for 5 minutes. Oh no, she died. I mean, like, during The Stinger where you're showing all the different people and making it global.
Yeah.
If you want to make this a global event, which it might get acknowledged in those shows at some point anyway, you should definitely, like...
Well, that's going to be awkward.
Yeah. Like, I want to see, like, let's say Daisy and Agent May and Daredevil and Iron Fist dissolve. That's cutaways along with the sequence, and it's easy because they're in the same city as Nick Fury, so you could even have a tracking shot and have some fun with it. Like that's Alias up there. Like up there is Alias Investigations.
Okay,
and the people in Alias, like half of them dissolve, and then you cut down and there's a car and the driver dissolves and it spins out in front of Nick Fury and that ending happens. Like it's not even that hard to set up. All you have to do is, I mean, it's not hard in the scope of Disney, at least.
No,
like, hey, actress that plays Jessica Jones, you want to just come by for 5 minutes?
I don't know how much that costs you, though.
Like, it would involve cooperation between different studios and Netflix and stuff like that, and frustration. But it's just like that's when it makes that's what, if you want to, like, the whole point of that ending of everyone dying is to like really cement it and feel like this ultimate defeat.
Do movie characters ever show up on the TV shows?
Yes, no, kind of, like
as their characters.
It's mixed. In the Netflix movies, they specifically the Netflix shows take place after Avengers, and they specifically refer to on a regular basis the events of the Avengers. That's like fine. The attack on New York.
Yeah, but they never show like.
They don't show up specifically. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., in particular, there's been a few characters that have shown up, but the main ones I can remember is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. Well, obviously, Coulson is.
I don't count Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like.
But also,
weird.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has Sif and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Like, they show up.
That's what I'm saying. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is weird because it was.
I mean,
it's like, it's not...
Which is why, in particular, I thought they'd at least show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Like, at least show...
Now, that I can understand.
Like show Agent May or someone.
As far as I know, I think, like, in my head, I'm assuming that the Netflix shows...
Yeah.
...don't count to the movie universe.
But how cool would that be if you acknowledge them in that moment?
It would be cool, but I think Disney is like, I don't give a fuck about that shit.
Like when the point is that it's this universal catastrophe thing, that level of reinforcement's really good.
Yeah.
Like show the Defenders, show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I think the hard part's just logistics.
To make it even weirder, fucking show Legion. No, they can't show Legion. Legion's from like the 70s. The show Legion takes place like decades ago.
But I mean, it's like, the problem is like there's just a lot of There's so much logistics.
There is logistics.
Like, I bet you, but it's in the comics it shows that.
But it's the biggest movie, everything. Yeah. Well, yeah, the comics can show everything, and that's one of the things where you feel the limitations.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here like right now in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the most recent season, they're in space in the future at like a destroyed Earth, and they're dealing with the people that are that one guy. What was the race that was the blue people? Like the villain of the guy that was the villain of the first Galaxy. Like, that's a whole race of people. I think it starts with a K.
Oh.
The blue people are aliens that are a race.
The Krill?
Is the Krill or the Kroll or the...
The Krill. Are you talking about the ones that can shapeshift?
The blue people. Like the villain of Guardians, the first one.
The guy that can whistle?
No, the blue guy. The villain. The actual villain, not Yondu. The guy that was trying to...
Oh my god, what was the villain of the Guardians
movie?
Was
a blue guy with like black over his eyes that he had painted there. Like right now in Guardians...
Yes, that is a Krill. I think those are what the Krills
like right now, like in S.H.I.E.L.D., they're like acknowledging that shit. Like the aliens we've seen in Guardians are like have dealt with Earth and like all this shit's happening. And I'm like, you got like we get two-way, the two-way street. It's really frustrating when it's one way. When it stays one way and it stays that way for a long time.
Maybe that's why they didn't show them dying in the thing, because they were in the future.
Well, if they succeed, they'll be in the past again.
But they haven't yet.
I don't remember. I haven't watched all of it. It might have already happened. I think the season might be over, but I don't know. Well, it frustrates me because at some point it ends up being in my headspace where I'm just like, that's just not canon. It just becomes that.
Yeah.
Like we had this discussion during our canceled podcast of Last Jedi where they were like, don't upload this. I'm like, God damn it. But we did a Last Jedi spoilercast that never aired. Some people saw live, and they're the exclusive ones, I guess.
It was broadcasted live.
Yeah, I was broadcasting it live. One of my points in that thing was that like I don't consider any Star Wars books to be canon.
Yeah.
Or any books or games or anything. And I don't give a shit if they call it canon. If nothing that ever happens in them is never acknowledged in any capacity ever in the movies, and if they always ignore them, then they're basically like the Halo books. Yeah. It's like they're there until they're inconvenient, then they'll be contradicted and thrown aside. Yeah.
They're there to build lore, but it's only because
the reason they're called canon is to make them feel like they're worth buying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're fan fiction, which is what they are. They're official fan fiction.
They're never written by the people who wrote the game. Yeah. They're written by just rando authors.
They will never be canon.
No.
And they're literally just given the stamp of canon just so that you buy them.
You're upsetting a lot of people.
Fuck them. They're wrong. They're wrong.
I'm just saying, man, there's a lot of...
The Star Wars Extended Universe has never been canon with the movies. It's never mattered. It's never counted. It's always been a marketing gimmick to make you spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on movies because they don't make very many movies. So they need you to buy 500 toys and 15 video games and posters and Daimakuras and every single goddamn book so you can learn all about these Thrawn people and shit, which I'm not even saying they're bad books. I heard the Thrawn trilogy is cool, and it can be, but it's not canon. And it's only called canon so they can make hundreds of dollars off of you on top of the movie tickets, because they can only remaster the movies and resell them to you every time they make a new entire media format.
Yeah.
So in the in-between, if they want to keep making money off Star Wars, they have to merchandise nonstop. And since you're a bunch of sci-fi nerds, they can do that via more lore. Forever.
Yeah.
That's the gimmick.
I'm just saying.
That's the real reason they rebooted it, not because they thought, oh no, the new movies are going to contradict it. Like, we can start over.
Yeah.
And they did. The same authors came back to write new books.
Yeah.
Everyone just started over, and it's a new golden age of making even more money. None of those authors are like, oh no, my books aren't canon anymore. They're like, oh man, I'm going to make even more money on the next books because they're the first canon.
Yep.
And that happened.
Yeah.
It definitely happened.
Well, yeah, because that's...
And if you disagree with me, you're wrong.
Well...
Factually.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I would just say...
This is literally the only time you've ever said that.
Let's say live in your...
You literally never qualify your goddamn sweeping statements.
Never...
And you're gonna fucking hobble this one? This is where you draw your line? That Star Wars canon is just merchandising?
Yeah.
Even though it's the most merchandised property in the history of the world, possibly surpassing actual Jesus.
No, it hasn't passed Jesus yet.
It's gonna get close, though, right?
Yeah, it's getting close.
It's like Jesus, the Beatles, and Star Wars.
Well, the thing about the Bible is that we're kind of running out of needing to print new ones because everyone's kind of just got their old dusty one and it just never kind of goes away.
Just get them from where they naturally occur, which is hotels. They just spawn in the cupboards and you just get one. It's the Bible harvest is strong this year.
It's like the only time I've ever thought, like, did a video game designer make this room?
Oh boy.
When you open a drawer and a Bible's in your hotel room, you're like, why would you put a Bible in here?
It's like you're finding lore. Like you're going to find the Baker family notes in Resident Evil 7. It's like you find the Bible.
Or it's like you find the book in Skyrim.
You're going to find stuff scribbled in it.
I'm just thinking like the books you find in Skyrim in random places.
Finding a Bible does feel like being in an escape room.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't belong in your motel room. Why is it?
It's a lobby thing. I'm pretty sure somebody lobbied for that to be a thing that you do. Like, I don't think it's required by law or anything. I think it's
I'm sure it's required by law.
I don't think it is required by law. I think it's just policies that are determined by powerful lobbying forces that just want that to be happen. It's like the equivalent. It's one of those things where something's happening for an indirect, nonsensical reason, like being told that your phone, your internet's cheaper if you have a phone line, even though that, like, on a basic logical level, you're like, but more services costs more to make. But there's a bunch of bullshit reasons behind the scenes that are the reason why that's happening that way.
Yeah,
that's what's going on with Bibles. They're incentivized to put Bibles in your room because somebody that cares about Bibles wants them there. And is probably paying them to put them there. That's basically why.
It's just so nonsensical. In any case.
Well, this is way too long, and I thought it was going to be shorter than normal. So last round, let's stop talking about the movie itself. Only thing left, predictions about the next movie.
Everyone dies.
And then is reborn. Every single person that turned to dust comes back to life, right? Like, there's like no way that doesn't happen.
Yes. But I think it comes at a sacrifice.
Yeah, I think it comes at the sacrifice of the Avengers.
Yes.
Because there's specifically, you'll notice once the literal dust made of all your friends is cleared, that the people who aren't dusted, aside from a few people, are very specifically the Avengers.
Old Avengers. Yeah,
the entire
weird how that happened.
The entire original cast of Avengers is still alive. Yeah. So next movie, we're going to have the Avengers, the original Avengers are going to fight Thanos. Hulk's going to come back out, obviously.
Maybe.
Otherwise, what the fuck? But I think I can predict what the first scene of Infinity War 2 will be.
What is it?
Like the literal first, the cold open.
Okay.
I think I know what the cold open will be, which is that, and this is set up in a previous movie, so I have like reason to think this.
Okay.
Hawkeye is going to be sitting with his family in his nice country home.
No, that was my idea.
Yep, he's going to be in his happy country home with all his family. They're going to be sitting around the dinner table, and he's just going to watch literally his entire family disappear.
I was going to say that. I was going to say the next movie's going to have Hawkeye, but only because his fucking
it's so obvious,
dead.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be so solemn and shocking, except for the part where it's so easy to predict that's exactly how they'll open it.
Yep.
And just mark our fucking words when the next movie starts that way.
Yep.
His entire family will be dead, and then Hawkeye will be in the next Avengers movie. Because he was literally gone this time.
And then that will result in, because every Avenger has to die.
Because he essentially retired, kind of. Like or seemingly was retiring in Ultron.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Like, it seemed like he was.
Can you retire from being a superhero? I don't know.
It's confusing. They kind of set it up like he's leaving in Ultron, but then he's in Civil War, which is the next movie, which is confusing. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure that Hawkeye, who was gone this entire movie, is going to just watch his entire family die as a result of Thanos, and that's why he's going to suddenly show up with the other Avengers too, because he was the one that was absent of the six.
Man, I hope that there is a super sassy line where it's like, well, maybe we could have stopped your family from dying if you showed the fuck up, Hawkeye. Like,
that's horrible.
I hope that.
Do you think we're right? Like, just completely right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I've never had a stronger sense.
You can envision the movie poster of the original Avengers on a giant movie poster. And you're like, oh, it's happening again. The original Avengers.
I'm just saying, like, in the history of movie making, like all movies I've ever seen, I've never had such a strong, exact vision of exactly what will happen next in the next scene in the next movie. It's never been more. I can see it. I can literally see the scene. It's never been so specific.
Yeah.
And it's gonna.
Who else is there?
And it's not even a bad scene. It'd be a wasted opportunity not to do that.
Well,
scene.
yeah, it would be a waste. But we both came up with it. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah,
I also
we have not talked about
in my head, the first thing I was going to say is like, oh, Hawkeye's just going to lose his family.
Yeah, he's going to watch his entire family dissolve.
It's so
simultaneous with the ending of the previous movie.
It's incredibly obvious. You have to do it. If you don't do it, I would actually be like,
why didn't you do that?
Yeah, did like Hawkeye not want to come back?
Somehow no one in your entire studio think of the most obvious thing?
It's like the best course of action.
I want to hear how many people in the audience already had that idea before we said it.
I want to know.
And don't fucking fuck up our numbers by lying and try to sound smart. I just want to hear how many of you had the exact idea, because it's so concrete.
It's so concrete.
It's like the perfect idea.
I want to know how many of Thanos' friends are dead. How many of his family?
Like how many people that he knows, or how many people from his crew?
From his crew,
dissolved
just
in that
gone.
Moment? How many of them were left?
Well, I don't know. He had an army of like weird monster things, so those are all gone too.
Like, was even one of his children alive at that point in the movie?
Yeah,
we watched them all. A lot of them like the one. There was one that got their arm cut off. One got blended. One got spaced. One died off camera. They got wounded by a Captain America, and they come back later, and then this implied they didn't make it or whatever.
Yeah,
like, we don't want to kill you. Like, this will be your last chance. Psych, you got blended. Yeah, that's got to be how it... I think that's the opening scene, and I think the ending is that they defeat Thanos, but in order to use the Soul Stone, that comes at a sacrifice, and it's like one for each stone, so we lose all 6 of the original Avengers, but then everyone that got dusted comes back.
How is Iron Man getting back to Earth? I just realized that, like, Doctor Strange was a ride, and he just kind of pieced out.
Yeah, he's just... Well, they do have Portal Man.
We hope. We don't know if he's fucking dead.
Oh, yeah, we don't know. It didn't cut to him. He is indeterminate status.
I'm sure he's alive.
He is of indeterminate status.
Because he's the only one who could do magic now. So he's got to be around.
There's such a rough case that's happening right now, because I'm watching Fear the Walking Dead, and they just decided to skip forward like 4 years.
4 years of like...
Yeah.
In the what?
And there's a couple characters that are just not on screen, and I'm like...
Are they dead?
It's like, you spent 3 seasons with those characters, and now they just disappeared between the time jump. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, I would be curious to see what do you have any other predictions?
I mean, that's the biggest one. We might see War Machine die, like in conflict die, because he's still around. War Machine's around. Rocket's around.
Rocket.
We get a second Infinity War movie that has even more Rocket.
We also get
so much fewer characters that aren't Rocket.
But we also get an Infinity War with a Rocket that had Groot taken away.
Oh,
so it's going to be a very angry Rocket.
We're going to have an angry Rocket.
Well, no, it's a Rocket where everyone on his team has been taken away.
Oh, shit.
Yes, nobody.
Oh, no. I'm having one of those moments where I realize that this is where I'm getting reminded how decently put together some of this narrative is. They foreshadow Rocket losing everyone. There's that really good scene where Thor's talking about how he lost everybody, and it's like, he hasn't fought me yet. He hasn't fought me twice. He's like, well, I don't have anything left to lose, like all that stuff that's going on. And Rocket's sarcastic comment when he's walking away is like, well, I got a lot to lose. I got to lose a lot. Like, it's like being all glib and shit because he's got shit, even though Thor's lost everything. And Rocket loses everyone.
He loses
every single person in this movie. It's like, that's fucking foreshadowing for later. I'm like, oh shit.
So,
I'm
curious to see the, I guess, the suit up moment. Cause I guess.
Angry Rocket?
I'm saying like everybody. Cause all the people who are left are gonna have like all right, meet at the Avengers HQ. We're gonna fucking suit up and beat some ass. Like,
I'm trying to think of who's left. Do you think anyone from Wakanda is in the next movie?
No.
Not even the second in command lady?
Oh, God, maybe.
She shows up?
God damn it. Yeah, probably.
There was a hint of, like, this will mean more when I watch Black Panther later. Because, like, that one dude shows up with even more dudes. And I'm like, and he's like, thank you for coming and stuff like that. And I'm like, did they...
Was that the main villain?
I don't think that was Killmonger.
Okay.
I think that was someone else.
I don't know.
But, like... I imagine that scene has meaning based on something that happened in Black Panther with that character.
Maybe.
Where I assume that there was a reason why it was meaningful they showed up, because him showing up felt like Black Widow and Hulk meeting up, of like, oh, there's a history where the scene makes more sense.
I think it's probably just a tribe thing.
Yeah.
It's probably just like I
imagine they had some conflict or something in the last movie, even if it wasn't the villain or something.
I'll be honest with you, I don't want the Wakandan people in the...
I mean, we're out of them. We're pretty much out.
Well, I mean, I don't want like them character to bring the army or to have... I just leave them fucking behind.
Well, I think we're past armies, especially since I think Thanos doesn't have an army anymore either.
I don't know what
I think it's just. I think it's just.
He can also just spawn an army because he has reality control. I don't know what Thanos can do.
I think the entire next movie is named characters versus Thanos and whatever Thanos's like powers are, which we will then now have to really define a lot more now that it's going to be the core of the whole movie as opposed to being not really.
I'm looking.
I think I didn't say this in the podcast itself, but I think one of the interesting things they did in this movie to make the movie make sense. Mm-hmm. Is they made Thanos kind of the main character.
Yes.
He's essentially functionally the protagonist.
You follow him through the story.
He kind of goes through a sort of like a hero's journey, and he's like he's going through the process, and like all the way down to even having like the reckoning moment where everything seems like it's at its lowest point, which is when he has to kill Gamora. Yeah. And he has motivation, he has a history, he has a specific goal, and he even has a happily ever ending at the end.
Well, kind of. He did get like straight cut real bad.
And, like well, that made the movie work as a story.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'd be such a clusterfuck that it's probably what DC movies feel like lately, is the ones that people are complaining about. It's probably that issue of like, we need a main character who has a core story so this whole can have a structure.
Yeah.
Because when you have Thanos be the core structure and narrative of the entire movie, then you can use all these Avengers and it doesn't matter.
You already know.
And yeah, first of all, you set them all up so you don't have to establish who any characters are.
What? You set them up? That sounds like thought.
For once, there's not a single new character.
Correct.
Because, like, technically, I think Black Widow and Hawkeye might have been in Thor first. But functionally, Hulk was basically a new character to deal with in Avengers. And then Civil War had multiple new characters, and Ultron had new characters, because Ultron introduced, like, Vision and Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Yeah. Like, they keep adding new characters every new crossover. This crossover only had the villain.
Yep.
And that was the only character.
Well, you met the villain's
fodder, allies, whatever. But like, there was no new Avenger to deal with in this movie.
There's no new heroes.
So there's no distractions there.
Yep. And
so you just get to focus on Thanos' story from front to back. And so you have a fully articulated character with motivations and meaning. And like, then like you have an arc there and you have an ending, and like that actually made it work as a movie in a way that I never thought it could when they had like 20 Avengers to deal with. And it's because none of the Avengers were the main character of the story.
Another theory: Pepper Potts is dead.
I feel bad for Pepper Potts in all these movies.
I do,
all the time. And this one in particular, it's like, we're going to get married, and it's all going to be great, and oh my god, Tony, and you got to stop doing this. And it's like, they were setting up the idea of Tony wanting to retire, basically, which just really makes you think he's going to die this movie in particular. But fucking immediately, Portal, oh, everyone's going to die, Tony. Oh my god. And Pepper Potts doesn't even have another line.
No.
And disappears from the movie. I'm like, I thought that at the very least they would have Pepper Potts with Doctor Strange in that lobby. And they'd film. I thought they'd milk that for a little bit of comedy of like hearing like no Tony no as this, and then the stakes keep rising, and then finally the attack happens right outside their house. They're right out the side of the street they're on. I'm like, and that's when Pepper Potts has to finally acquiesce. And instead she just instantly disappears, and she's for like last 3 movies she's in there for like 30 seconds. Yeah,
she's basically there to remind you that like, yeah, Tony has a love interest.
It's
already.
Like how she was there in the last couple seconds of Spider-Man. It's like, oh yeah, Pepper Potts. Oh, there she goes.
Yeah.
It's like those two have a good chemistry. They're good characters to have interact, and you don't get to see that because there's no Iron Man movies.
No.
Because he's done with those.
I bet you she is dead.
I would not be surprised.
And it will be sad.
And then Tony's going to sacrifice himself to bring her back, but then he dies, and then the wedding doesn't happen.
Yep.
And she'll come back in the wedding dress. Oh my god, no.
I also want to predict that, like, in order to break the Infinity Stones, every superhero or every
Do you think
Avenger,
all the Infinity Stones are going to be destroyed at the end of the next movie?
Yes.
They'll be gone. They have to be, right? Because they'll only make the narrative worse.
Yeah. So I think what they're going to do is, like, I think every original Avenger is going to break an Infinity Stone and then die.
Which is kind of something like that kind of overpowering...
Except for Hulk. Hulk can't die.
That kind of overpowering threat is something that's kind of established by the Guardians movie.
Yeah.
When they had the one Infinity Stone, and they had to, like, all of them combined had to just be able to power one of them and use it without dying, basically. Yeah. Which kind of sets up the idea that the Guardians movies are super important. This
weirdly enough,
Infinity War movie. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah, they might keep Hulk around because Hulk kind of has more mileage to still be used because he hasn't had his own movies ever.
Yeah.
Canonically, at least.
But I think, world. Captain America, fucking Iron Man, Thor. Yeah, you get rid of all them.
It's weird thinking about them all just being gone at once, though. That's the moment of, like, this will be one of those moments for many reasons that'll make or break the whole universe for viewers.
It will be a giant fucking gap.
You're losing all these major characters, which you're kind of starting to set up new ones, and you'll see how that works. It helps they have Spider-Man quit that. It helps that Spider-Man happens to be stuck for other reasons in the second generation. Yeah, because he would have been in the first generation. Obviously, he's kind of important to the whole Civil War thing. And
stuff. There's a little bit. Yeah,
but because isn't that when Aunt May dies? Because his identity is outed by like Tony or something, and Aunt May gets murdered, and that eventually leads to all of the worst Spider-Man storylines, such as the deal with the devil to bring her back. Yep, which is the worst thing that ever happened in Spider-Man, as far as I've ever heard. Is like the deal with the devil to bring back Aunt May and undo his marriage, not because it needed to be undone, but because just dumb fourth wall breaking shit of that the story was more fun when he wasn't married, so they just unmarried them and that kind of shit. So this is I can see the next Infinity War movie potentially being the last one I care about.
I can assure you that Infinity War will be, unless I'm forced to come for another Spoilercast, Infinity War will be our last one you watch. Unless I tell you to watch one for a podcast. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless I'm told to watch it, I will not fucking watch no more. I'm done.
For me, the cast turnover is not a problem.
No.
I'm cool with like watching American Horror Story or Doctor Who, where like everything just fucking changes every season, and like I'm cool with that shit. So I don't care if like they're gonna switch to like Ant-Man and Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch and shit like that. I'm cool with that.
I'm fine with that. I don't care.
My problem is that this is going to be my first time doing a crossover, like, Crisis of Infinite Worlds situation. Oh. Where, like, this is the reason I don't read comics.
Yeah.
Like, all the stuff that's happened until now has been the stuff that was why I wish I read comics. And this storyline is why I don't read comics. And it's going to remind me, and it's going to make me stop caring about the movies.
Yeah.
Because this ending actually filled me with dread. And it actually hit me emotionally, and it worked on me. Even though in the back, even though in the back of my head, I know this is all a fake out.
Yeah.
Because it ended on such a somber tone, and it actually committed to it for the ending of the episode, to the point where the audience is reacting and shit like that. I'm like, shit, like that kind of stuff is what I want to feel in movies, is like an actual like reaction to something.
Yeah.
And they're going to cheapen it and nullify it by completely taking it all back. And this kind of and that kind of bullshit where anything goes and they can just undo the feelings that the movies make is going to be one of those things where it's like you can only take that wave like once in many cases.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually do think that they have a trick up their sleeve to fix that problem of just like, because I'm sure that's one of the biggest dreads that Marvel has in terms of their cinematic universe, is like, the thing that most people hate universally is crossover events, because they always end like shit.
The crossover events always have a bad storyline at the end, and they also they literally damage the storylines of what was working well in each individual thing usually.
Yes.
Like right now everyone's freaked. I keep seeing complaints on Twitter because people are like having fun with the current Jessica Jones comic and shit like that, and then it's like time for a crisis event that just literally cancels the story.
Yeah.
And it's like, thanks for ruining that.
But I think they are prepared for that causality, and I think they have I
think they split into two movies literally just so they can milk the good part of it for as long as possible.
Do you think so?
Because I think the premise of a crisis, the setup for it, is the most exciting, fun part, and the part where they have to resolve it is like that's when it fucks up, and that's the bad part of each storyline.
Yeah.
So I think they're literally waiting in a year between those two parts so they can get a full, super acclaimed movie out of that.
I feel like if I was to make a very grandstanding prediction that's going to be wrong, I would think that they do like kind of a sleight of the hand reversal, where in exchange for those who died,
the other half of people died.
The other, like the kind of
no Rocket,
more or less like the people who didn't.
Oh no, Guardians were only Rocket's gone.
Yeah. Or like, I think it's the like the people.
It's
like,
okay. They'll introduce that rabbit. There's a rabbit, right? There's a blue rabbit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, and they were calling him Rabbit. It's setup. No, I don't want to be right about this. No.
No, actually, you're wrong. The person that's going to take over Raccoon is a Howard Duck.
Oh, no. But, I just accidentally... Oh, no, because him losing everything was set up, and then he keeps getting called a rabbit. If he gets replaced with a rabbit, then that's going to hurt my soul. I don't know the rabbit. I just know he exists.
I don't know the rabbit.
I know there's a rabbit. I don't know anything about it.
That's fine. You're better off. But yeah, so...
It's like a blue rabbit, and it has, like, over the top of its head, like, cybernetic or helmet or something with, like, red goggles.
Yeah.
And that's it. I just know character design.
Yep. So I'm thinking that there's going to be a reverse, like, kind of like that, where all the original peeps get turned.
There has to be a big cost to earn it.
Yeah.
And saving half of all of existence from dying is a decent reason to kill off your 6 major characters.
Yeah.
Although, even then, it's like that stakes and the absurdity of those stakes. If they try to replicate that, it's just like... It's going to be so hard to care about their universe if they keep being like, and now the universe is shattering again. And it's like,
well, I think
at some point entropy seems to be taken over, and it seems like the laws of the universe destroy it at some point. You should just give up.
I think what they're hoping to do is like every 10 years.
How gross is it? They're making this, like the comics keep So like at this point, it's known that the comics are not popular and not successful and do not turn a profit, and they're just used as a source material for the movies, and that's the only reason they're still made.
I don't know if that's true.
That's a thing.
Like they make zero profit.
The sales of comics are so low that at this point they're basically, ever since Disney takeover, they're just used as a testing bed for future movie ideas.
That's concerningly sad.
And that's what's depressing about that is the result of that seems to be Civil War 2. Do you know? Have you heard about that?
No.
Oh, you don't know about Civil War 2?
I haven't kept up. No.
Oh.
It's been a while.
I don't keep up with comics either, but it just reaches me.
Oh, I know.
Apparently. Yeah, they did Civil War 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Where the reveal that it was happening was Captain America saying Hail Hydra. With the idea being that Captain America's in Hydra now, which he's probably mind-controlled or something. I don't know the context. I didn't bother, but like...
But he's dead.
And that got memed nonstop in frustrating ways. He's probably back. That's the other thing. That's the other thing that'll break me on these movies, is that they start...
That was like the most important thing in the Civil War was like Captain America dying, because that was like killing America.
Has he been dead since Civil War? Did he die in Civil War? I didn't know that part.
Punisher took over.
I did not... Well, yeah, Punisher's not in the movies at all.
I mean, Punisher wore the Captain America outfit.
I did not know Captain America died. That's the first I've heard of that.
He got sniped. Because he got arrested.
I guess he is just a person, so he could just die.
Well, no, because the thing was, he got arrested. It was, I want to say it was... I think it was Bucky Barnes who killed him.
Oh, shit.
On accident.
Also, that was a kind of that was a bit of a gut punch, having not just does Bucky die, but you watch Captain America watch Bucky die.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man. You've been trying to keep this guy alive for like 5 movies.
But no, because if I remember correctly, in the comics, Captain America gets captured in Civil War, and he's arrested, and they're bringing him to a building, and so Bucky Barnes is going to snipe the woman who's basically moving him through.
Yeah.
So he can escape, and Captain America takes the bullet.
Oh, does Captain America suicides to protect the
because he doesn't know it's Bucky shooting him.
Oh, Jesus.
He just thinks someone's about to snipe her, and he goes like, "No, don't kill an innocent person," and takes the bullet.
Maybe the context in Civil War 2 is that Captain America shows up alive again, but Hail Hydra. Maybe that's the premise of it. I don't know. I literally don't know.
I don't know either.
I can't bring myself.
I'm just telling you that last time I read it,
I could never bring myself to care about a universe that has Spider-Man making deal with the devil to dissolve his marriage, so it's more entertaining. Like, I can't take that kind of universe.
I mean, he also fought Blackheart. So what do you want? Like, him and Daredevil teamed up together to fight Blackheart.
Does that matter?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird comic. Blackheart is from Ghost Rider. You have Spider-Man and Daredevil, and they're
weird combinations of villains. That doesn't bother me. I'm talking about just really dumb macro decisions made for dumb reasons, like Infinite Crisis or things that make you say phrases like New 52 or Infinity War, or Spider-Man making a deal with a supernatural entity just so that they can retcon whatever they want about the story and make it whatever story they want. Yeah. Because like when that happened, they just literally deleted whatever they felt like and brought back whatever they felt like, completely irrespective of the actual change that was being made. Just like when X-Men rebooted, and at the time I was like, this movie's fine, but I've never watched another X-Men movie since then, when they were like, and now Scott's back, and Jean's back, and everything's different, and I'm like, I don't know what these movies are. Like, I literally have, I might watch Apocalypse and future movies of X-Men at some point eventually, but like I have no motivation to, because there's no continuity even between consecutive movies of what the story is. Like Days of Future Past was like, its ending was so nonsensical, and that like they just changed whatever they felt like. I think they brought back Xavier, Jean Grey, and Scott, and it was totally irrelevant to the actual change that was being made in the movie. Like, the premise of the movie was they're in the future and being killed by Sentinels and shit, and everyone's getting wiped out.
Yeah.
So they go to the past to stop the Sentinels from being made, and that became a carte blanche chance to change whatever the fuck they felt like about the universe. And I'm like, nothing matters. Oh, did you not watch Days of Future Past?
No.
Yeah, in the ending scene, you just see Scott, Jean, and Xavier. And I'm like,
I just read the comic, because the comic was like way better.
Like, you killed all those characters in 3. You can't just casually... God damn it.
The comic was fun, because like literally everyone was dead.
Yeah.
Like, all of them.
It's just hard to accept nothing mattering ever.
I mean, welcome to comics. I think you have to just go in with a suspension of like...
I think that's part of my grim, bizarre, self-contradictory, continued audience-ship of Walking Dead. It's just that it's one continuity, and they don't fuck with it.
Yeah, I mean...
Nobody has ever come back to life that was actually literally dead, and there's no parallel retcon, storylines, anything. It's just... It's a series of sequential actions that happen in the number order of the comic number, and that's the entire universe.
Okay, to its credit, Marvel and DC tend to be the ones that fuck that all up.
Yep.
Usually, like, graphic novels
Isn't Walking Dead Dark Horse?
Dark Horse, yes.
Yeah, does Dark Horse have better comics?
Well, Dark Horse and Top Cow...
Does Dark Horse have an Infinite Crisis of Earths storyline for their shit? Because they have superheroes, don't they?
They have some superheroes and stuff.
But they're just like, do your thing.
Well, they have like Watchmen.
Does Dark Horse do Sandman? Do they publish stuff like that?
Yeah.
So is Dark Horse just the best comics company? Yeah. All right.
Dark Horse...
I'll keep an eye out for that whenever I'm filtering stuff.
Dark Horse and Top Cow are the two...
I have Sandman, by the way.
And do you?
It was a purchase I somewhat regret.
Oh.
It's not based on the material. I haven't experienced the material yet. I'm afraid of the format it arrived in.
Which is?
I got the Omnibus edition, which is 2 books for all of Sandman.
Yeah.
They are monumentally big.
Yeah.
And not just thickness. I mean, like, they're like this big, and they weigh like 10 pounds.
You got the... Yeah.
I got like... the Song of Ice and Fire edition of Sandman.
So there's a thing.
I literally have an issue where I'm like, I don't know where to physically place this book to read it.
Yeah.
It's big. I could not fit it on any of these desks without moving all the shit off the desk. Like, at some point, I think I need to wait until I get a new place to live. And then when I get the new place to live, I can have a dedicated surface just for reading Sandman. And I'll just come by every day and read like a few, like 30 more pages of Sandman and page through it like somebody has a Bible surface, it's not a pew, it's called the podium. The podium people have at the front of a church. I'll have that just for Sandman, and that's how I'll finally get through Sandman, because it's the first book I've ever gotten that's so massive. The physical act of reading it is a thing I have to plan for. Like, I'm reading Witcher just laying in bed. I can't fucking hold Sandman. And where do I put it when I'm done? Like, under your bed. I don't want to drop Sandman on myself or anywhere and fuck up all these nice gold-lined pages and shit. It's a full-color, badass copy of Sandman, and it's too much.
It's too much.
I never anticipated this problem. And I don't think the problem will replicate, because I think I'm going to order the same thing for Devilman. But I don't think that's nearly as long.
No.
I think that'll be like a manga. I think those would be more like Junji Ito bound books, which are great. That's the ideal comic format.
No, it's not.
It's like a 400-page Junji Ito hardcover.
I really wish that we printed all of I wish all the English manga was printed the way it's printed in Japan. Like, super small.
I don't like it.
You don't like the smallness? Like how small it is? It's so compact and you can just fit it in anything.
Especially how comics get so text heavy and the font gets so small that it just becomes annoying to read.
Well, that happens
in particular with Walking Dead, actually, is there's a lot of very small text.
It's a little bit easier in Japanese because they're symbols, which can mean like multiple words. So you can be like,
I like my Junji Ito hardbound cover books. Those are fantastic.
I mean, that's why they're printed the size they are.
I want old books to be like that. I was looking for Berserk to be in that format.
No,
I was hoping that JoJo and Berserk would have like one arc per book in like a cool bound book.
You're never getting that
because instead I have to buy.
You have to wait till Berserk's done and good luck with that.
My disappointment with Berserk in particular, JoJo's fine because the art style works. For Berserk, you have to buy shitty Shonen Jump books if you want to buy them physically.
Do you? Oh yeah, you do.
Like, I don't mean Shonen. I don't mean the monthly magazine.
No,
I mean
you have to buy.
It looks like a Naruto book.
Yeah.
Or a Shaman King book.
Yep.
But it's Berserk and it's guts and it's got like rape horse and shit inside of it. And I'm like, that doesn't work. That's not an aesthetic you can do with a giant bubble font of like, well, that's the big purple 6 because it's the 6th volume. It's like, well, you can't do this.
You have to, because how are you going to sell that to Americans?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I want copies of Berserk that look like the inside of Berserk.
They do get that way.
Junji Ito's covers are covered in horror.
Berserk
you've seen the books would look like, right? Like they don't cover it in fucking popcorn shit like you're selling Adam Sandler's Click.
Well, first of all, fucking when Berserk was translated and brought over here, it was like in the 90s. And the 90s was hip as fuck. So you got to be like white background character.
That's what I got into anime. Yeah, it's all white. It's all white backgrounds. And garbage.
You got to. It's basically here's the character, here's the number, here's the title. Get the book.
It's like, so ugly.
But if you look at if you look at One Piece covers now versus like the first One Piece cover, you're like, oh my god, there's actual art.
The problem is the old ones are still the same.
Yeah. Well, One Piece is fine because it makes the Muns. They have like omnibus versions of it, and they're great.
I really like buying a thing that's just all cohesive across the way.
You'll get it.
Like what I like is that
Berserk, you just have like 5 years to go.
Like Witcher had a reprint.
Yeah.
The Witcher books came out in the 90s, but they were slowly translating them over the next 20 years into English whenever they got around to it, I guess.
Yeah.
And they got the last ones done just in time for Witcher 3. And they did a reprint of all of them for Witcher 3. So I've got these nice, just red books for all, like, 7 books.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Like, they match, even though they came out over 20 years. And, like, I want that for everything I ever buy.
Yeah.
I fucked up. I was buying Miss Peregrine series, and I have 2 hardcovers and 1 paperback. I'm like, fuck.
Just sell the paperback on Amazon, buy the hardcover.
Purchasing mistake. Also, when I buy hardcovers, I throw away their jackets.
You're a monster.
I'm totally cool with it. I like the look of just a hardcover book with just like the title printed on the side and I'm cool with that. I'm so done with the paper jackets.
I don't even own books.
No, you don't. You just have your 500 volumes of one manga on your shelf in your room over there.
Yeah.
Because that was back when you bought stuff.
Yeah, that's
your legacy.
I have like hundreds of books on my phone, but I don't have any physically. Because that's a dumb idea. I don't have space for that.
Anyway, this turned
into a podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This has been our almost 3 hours long. It's like the old ones podcast. Obviously, this is happening instead of Sit and Discuss this week because I want to talk about the Infinity War. But we also talked about other stuff, so you kind of got a normal podcast out of some of this stuff.
You got it.
We talked about Sleipnir and Berserk covers and our sleeping habits.
Yeah.
and other things that happened.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
But our general consensus is you liked Infinity War.
I liked the movie.
It
has a few individual moments where an individual character does a weird thing here and there. But largely, it was an emotionally affecting thing. And it actually put me in a bad mood for like 3 hours. And it affected my recording schedule.
I walked away uninterested and didn't care. Mostly because no Hulk. And so it was a waste for me.
Your favorite character was minimized as hell.
He was also like turned into a coward for no reason. Or was like, Hulk, come out. I was like, no. And I was like, that's literally not
with that.
How that works ever.
Maybe he also knows the Doctor Strange plan. Anyway, see you guys next time, and mark our words, that exact scene's going to happen at the beginning of the next movie.
Yes, Hawkeye's family's dead. Confirmed.
The fact that we both thought of it exactly really cements the idea.
Yeah.
Tell us how many of you thought of that exact thing before we mentioned it. Be honest, because I'm just curious. It's not like you're winning something. Don't fucking lie, assholes.
You're not impressive.
See
if
you guys
thought
next
about
time.
It or not.
Send your questions to SitAndDiscussPodcast@gmail.com. That's the right one, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to them next week.
Wait, sit and discuss.
It's podcast, right? Is it back there? Yeah, SitAndDiscussPodcast@gmail.com. We didn't do them last week. We didn't do it this week because we're doing this one. We'll do that next week. Questions. We'll do a bunch of them probably. I don't think we'll have anything specific to talk about besides that.
Yeah.
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 Play Frostpunk. See you guys next time.
Bye.